Hey everyone, what is up, and welcome back for episode 52 of Higurashi When They Cry. Today we'll be resuming chapter 6, and the last episode was a very big one, in my opinion. We've really started to see, I think, where this chapter is going to ultimately go and what it's really connected to, right? And that is, I think this chapter is going to be tied in with chapter 1, not in the same way that chapter 5 was tied in with chapter 2, where it's literally the same chapter, different perspective. This time it is similar events as chapter 1, but who it's happening to is flipped. And so we're going to get to see kind of both sides of this, I think. And it'll probably shed some, it'll probably give us some insight into what really happened in chapter 1. So the big thing that happened last chapter was Rena started reading Takano's scrapbook. And in this scrapbook, there were lots of theories, and the ones Rena was really drawn to were the ones regarding the maggot curse. And this idea that there are parasites in Inamizawa that are kind of dormant, basically, within the residents. And that is what causes people to go crazy. But over time, they've kind of lost their power because the strong ones that really take people over, their hosts got killed. And so they died as a result. So basically only the chill ones are left over, is the theory. But beyond that, there was also things like she thinks that there's a secret group or secret cult that's trying to really bring back the power of these parasites. And they're trying to... And they know that's the power of Oyashiro-sama, and so they're trying to suppress anyone who might have this knowledge. And so she thinks people are trying to kidnap and possibly kill her. And all these crazy things, right? And she believes that the Sonozakis have this death corps that got trained in the U.S., and we're ready to raid, like, the Ministry of Construction. She tells all of this to Keiichi, who at first thinks she's kind of insane. Then he sees the white van, and very briefly, like, for the night, he joins in her kind of paranoid delusions. And they talk a lot. But then the next day, he's kind of like, I don't know. Like, can I really believe that Mion is in on this? That the Sonozakis are in on this, you know? And he talks to Mion and never directly outs Rena, but basically starts to tell her all of these theories that he has and these ideas in his head, right? And she kind of rapidly debunks them all. And they don't even seem to faze her, right? Like there's nothing there where she's like, oh, snap. Is that right? Except notably, I think I didn't rewatch it, so I'm not 100% on this. I'm pretty sure she had a very brief reaction when parasites were mentioned. So I do wonder if there is truth to that, honestly. Just not the truth that Rena believes. But more importantly, after this scene, Keiichi's kind of free of the delusion. Keiichi sees the conversation with the gardeners, and from his perspective, it looks pretty innocuous, honestly. I mean, we'll see. There maybe is something up with it. There's a chance, but I think most likely it is legitimately innocuous. They're just gardeners, right? But we switch to Rena's perspective, and she hears bits and pieces of this conversation, and we can really see the state of mind she's in with what she fills in with the blanks. She automatically assumes that they're all in on this plot to kill her, right? And that they're making their move now, and she has to run away, and... I mean, it's as simple as she's delusional. Her paranoia is really there. But Keiichi is through with this, and so what I think is going to happen is we're going to have the inverse of chapter 1, where now Rena is the crazy one who's going to end up kind of pushing a lot of her friends away, everyone besides maybe Keiichi, who she does trust, right? But Keiichi is, like, not paranoid, and so he might come and be like, hey, these are delusions, this isn't really happening, and she's going to feel betrayed, and she might end up being really standoffish, she might get a baseball bat, who knows, right? But that's the direction I see this going, and I could see the fact that I see this mirroring chapter 1. If we get some more explanation as to what's really going on with Rena here, then we might finally get a full explanation for chapter 1, which is going to be very interesting. Either way, I think the parallels are interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly where this goes. So let's go ahead and pick this up with sub-chapter 10. Alright, we can just continue. I don't think there's anything else to say. They were mowing the grass near the fence, which was probably a cover to monitor the surroundings, just in case I tried to escape from the school. But they must have been thinking that would happen only after school was over. They seemed to have no idea that I'd already noticed their plan and was trying to run away right at that very moment. I couldn't use the front gate since they'd find me easily. I moved behind the school building, made sure nobody was around the curry garden, ran through it, and dashed into the forest. I walked through the dense undergrowth, stepping on dead wood and climbing over fallen trees. After walking through the forest for a while, I came to a small road. I know many back roads in this village because of our club activities, and that knowledge had finally come in handy. So what should I do now? I'm sure the girl already passed on my message to Chie-sensei. Those men must be going crazy by now, knowing that I ran away. Is he going to flash back? Everybody in the class looked at each other and shook their heads. Chie-sensei looked a bit upset that Rena left school early without telling her in person.
でもレナさん、最近はいつも体調悪そうでございましたものね。みー。
レナ、カバンなんかも置きっぱなしだし、どうしちゃったんだろう。
なんだか嫌な予感がするぜ。
Yeah, you're gonna need to talk to them. I think I know what's going on. I'm not sure, but I have a very bad feeling about this. She must have taken another ridiculous story seriously or something. I hope she won't do anything crazy. The constant back and forth, I'm really enjoying the back and forth so far. I hurried home. My father might be at his new job, or he might have gone shopping. He wasn't around when I got there. Now that they're on the move, I'm no longer safe in my house. They're very dangerous people. They're trained to be capable of attacking the Ministry of Construction, and they actually pulled off the kidnapping of the grandson of the minister. Locked doors and windows don't mean anything to them. I do want to point out, by the way, I never really mentioned this, but once again, we have Mion telling us, like, that's not something we were responsible for, right, when it comes to the Toshiki Inukai kidnapping, which is really interesting. It's so hard. I really want to believe Mion, and right now I'm kind of choosing to, but also, who else could it have been, right? Who was it, right? I don't know. I'd have to look at chapter 4 a little more again and see if there's any perspective in there. But they really made it seem like it was the Sonozakis, and the moment their demands were met, suddenly Oishi and oh my god, why can't I remember the other police officer's name? Goodness. I mean, I know why. It's been ages. Akasaka. Oishi and Akasaka just conveniently get the wallet on the ground that tips off the location, right? And so it really looked too convenient to be a coincidence, right? And so I don't think it was unreasonable to believe that it was just the Sonozakis getting the demands and giving back the hostage. But if it wasn't the Sonozakis, who was it? Why did we find them like that? Did the Sonozakis, like, arrange to free the kid? Who were the goons? Why was Irie helping them, right? Maybe not helping them per se, but not reporting the suspicious child? Or who knows, like, maybe he did, right? Like, I don't know. Like, now there's a lot. That information would really, if that's true, that kind of changes some of the chapter 4 context. I didn't really think about that. I might need to think about that more after this play session. But we're going to move on for now. Locked doors and windows don't mean anything to them. In fact, it'd be like I was hiding in a box, which they could just open up to get at me. I can no longer stay at my home. It's very sad and very frustrating. I killed Rena and Tepe and finally regained a peaceful life with my father. How could this happen to me? I remembered what Keiichi-kun told me before. It expressed my feelings better than anything.
高野さんめ、とんでもない置き土産を。
Why did she give me those terrifying scrapbooks? Why did she tell me the secret of that unthinkable conspiracy? Mind you, once again, Takano has had this kind of conversation with somebody about the truth of Hinamizawa, and they've gone crazy. This happens way too frequently for me to really think it's a coincidence. I know at this point I don't need to keep venting my suspicions of Takano, but it's like, once again, right? It's crazy how just a few days before someone starts going crazy, I think there's a non-zero chance that if we look at the timeline, it's about 3 days. If I had to guess, that sounds about right. Because she said it was Watanagashi, right? The night before Watanagashi, I think. That she was handed the scrapbooks, and it was like a day or two after Watanagashi that she started to really start falling into these delusions. And I'm like, come on, man. Is this how it is? Like, she got me into this. I didn't do anything. It's all Mio-san's fault. But who was interested in her stories? I was. Who let her continue talking? I did. I did that out of curiosity. Who let the memories of Ibaraki return and told Mio-san about them? I did. I depended on Mio-san, hoping that she could somehow save me from the memories I'd been trying to forget. I shouldn't have remembered anything about that bizarre incident. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten involved in that unthinkable conspiracy, and I could have just played around with my friends today. But even if I didn't know about the conspiracy, it'd still continue behind the scenes. I would have been one member of the mob running in a panic, not knowing what's going on the day of Oyashiro-sama's revival. I would have been just swallowed up in their conspiracy anyway. Would I be happier if I faced that day without knowing anything? Would I be happier if I struggled, knowing about it but ending up swallowed up by it? If I'm going to end up the same way no matter what I choose to do, I'll fight. I'll choose to fight. Because that's how I seized my happiness before. When Rena invaded my home, seducing my father, I felt like it was the end of the world. I lived on the verge of despair every day. I thought that was the worst misfortune that could befall anyone. But the way things are going, it wasn't really that bad at all. I had only 2 enemies, Rena Mamiya and Teppei Hojo. I knew my enemies, and I knew how many they were. I lured them out one by one, and I attacked them in the dark. It was a very easy problem to solve. But what about this one? I don't know who my enemies are, and I don't know how many or how strong they are. Even the people I once trusted might be my enemies. I can't possibly be sure. It's totally different from the previous problem. This might be the end of the world. This time, it really was the worst thing that could possibly happen. But is that really the case? With Rena, I felt like it was the end of the world, but I no longer think it was that bad. So, this might turn out to be an easy problem to solve in the end, and I might be able to laugh about it someday. I know that day will come. I know it for sure. So, I shouldn't think that this is the end of the world. Let's fight. I can fight. I can still struggle. I'd eat grass and drink mud if I needed to. We've seen this before. I'm gonna bet on the 1% chance, even though it's unbelievably small. If Mio-san didn't leave me the scrapbooks, I wouldn't have even been able to sit at the table to bet. I was lucky that I received the scrapbooks because they gave me the chance to choose my future. If I don't fight, they'll spread the terrible parasite, and this village will face a great disaster. According to the legend, when the demons first came out of the swamp, people became demons right after being infected. It happened while they were inside the village. These days, symptoms appear only when infected people leave the village, but that only applies to the later, weak parasite. The original parasite can reenact the curse of Oyashiro-sama even when the infected are in the village. The legend of Oyashiro-sama will be reborn. Humans and demons will start killing each other, and Oyashiro-sama will come down to pacify the disaster. That's what they want. They want people to prostrate themselves before that miracle, and only the people who truly worship Oyashiro-sama will be saved. I see. I know their true intention now. They're going to reenact the legend of Oyashiro-sama. After all, the villagers always say that Rika-chan is his reincarnation. The stage is all set. They're going to use the parasite as the curse. So, how are they going to make it look like Oyashiro-sama came down to pacify everyone? I get it. They must have some kind of medicine, a specific cure for the parasite. When they recreated the stronger form of the parasite, they found a cure for it at the same time. They're going to use this cure to save only those people who believe in Oyashiro-sama, and as a result, this village will only have those fervent believers. They're going to make themselves the absolute rulers of Hinamizawa. Yeah, so we're a little deluded, just a little bit. Wait, I still might be underestimating them. Are they going to carry out that horrifying act of bioterrorism only inside Hinamizawa? History proves that when their goal is to control others, people desire to spread their religion across a wide area. I'm sure that they conducted research not only to bring back the primitive form of the parasite, but also to overcome its weakness, namely that it only thrives in Hinamizawa. According to Mio-san's research, the parasite doesn't like its host to be far from the region. Its weakness is distance. If they could extend the distance. If they could extend the area where it can live. I wonder how far along their research is. By now, the parasite might be able to live not only in Hinamizawa, but in Okonomiya as well. Or maybe even in the city? Maybe the whole prefecture. Might be able to cover nearby prefectures as well. This is too serious to just call it a conspiracy. It's horrifying enough, and its scale large enough to call it a revolution. The day of revival is probably not far off. I can tell by how they killed Mio-san and by the extent of their pressure they're putting on me. They're trying to get rid of the small fish bone stuck in their throat by any means, because the day is coming ever closer. I'm the only one who could stand up against that revolution. I can't trust anybody. I think I can trust Keiichi-kun, but no one else. Mi-chan is out of the question. I can't trust Rika-chan either. Satoko-chan and Rika-chan stick together like superglue, so I can't trust Satoko-chan either. I can't trust any adults. I can't trust anybody. No one is on my side. I have to stand up against them alone. The clock is ticking towards that day, and the ticking noise made me frustrated. How should I fight against them? What should I do? I needed time to think. I needed a place, a safe area, where I could concentrate on thinking. Fortunately, I had such an area already. My hideout at the garbage dump. Nobody ever goes there, so it's safe. Even if they found out about that place, I'm familiar with its surroundings. I know escape routes and places where I can hide. But it is a big shortcoming as a hiding place. It's not hard to imagine what that is. I don't have any stock of food there. That's why I came home. I opened one of my father's drawers and took out his cash box. The contents haven't changed since the last time I looked inside. There are many new 10,000 yen bills in the cash box. I took them all. I couldn't tell how many bills there actually were, but it looked to be about 80 of them. This should be plenty. If I evaded them long enough to use all of this money, that would mean that I did pretty well. Plus, I might use it to buy someone off. You can never have too much money, especially in a situation like this. I didn't take the bank book. If they were waiting in ambush at the bank, I'd be done for. It's too risky to withdraw money at the bank. I grabbed my backpack. I took the keys from my bicycle. I put everything I think would be convenient to have into the backpack. I didn't care if it got heavy. I'd choose what was necessary to carry around later at my hideout. If there ended up being something I didn't need, I could leave it there. I looked at the clock. It had been 30 minutes since I came home. I stayed here too long. I rushed out of the house. I went to a small convenience store and bought as much sweet bread and canned food as I could fit in my backpack. An old lady was at the register, probably suffering from dementia. She showed no interest in the extraordinary amount of food I was buying. But as soon as the manager of the store checked the sales that night, he'd find out. The idea didn't bother me, because I can no longer walk around the village in the daylight anyway. My backpack was full, and the cans hurt my back as I walked, but that didn't bother me either. I got to my hideout, still carrying the heavy backpack. I organized the stuff I brought. It was very heavy to carry, but now I had sufficient food. The abandoned construction office still is running water, so I could get some from there. I'd wanted to get some vegetables, but in a situation like this, I could hardly complain. After I organized things, I took up the scrapbooks I hid here and put my brain into top gear, flipping through the pages. So, now what? How am I going to stand up against this gigantic conspiracy? I needed to calm down, stay cool, but also to think fast. There might not be a lot of time, so I'd have to hurry, but I don't know what to do. It's easy to run to school in the morning when I oversleep. It's easy because I knew where I should go. And now, I don't know where I should go to or what I should do. Now that I've come to this point, I should tell Oishi-san everything. It's highly likely he's an enemy. But that doesn't matter anymore. If it was true, I'd just declare war. But if he was on my side, he'd be my only remaining hope. I'm far too weak to stand alone against the terrifying scale of this conspiracy poised to instill fear throughout Japan. I have to use a public phone to make the phone call. There's only one public phone in this village that stands at a place where it's hard for people to spot you. That phone booth. It stands in the middle of nowhere where nobody really comes around. Many bugs gather around the light when it's dark, and it's not a pleasant place to go. But I can't think of any other public phones I can use to contact Oishi-san without being seen. Even though it stands in the middle of nowhere, it's still dangerous to use it in the daylight. I should wait until nightfall and take advantage of the darkness. Why am I actually suddenly worried that she's gonna die? Like tonight. I feel like she might have a few more days, but it'd be kind of fascinating if we go to the phone booth and she claws out her own throat and we kind of get that parallel too. But I think this is a little sooner than I would have expected, but she is certainly getting delusional. I don't know how far along we are, even assuming my, 3 and 3 day theory is, correct. And I think that was relatively disproven by Chapter 5 with Shion, who I'm pretty sure was a little cuckoo for longer than that, right? But she was fully insane by the end. I don't even, she might be an exception in how long she managed to live, right? While fully crazy. I don't know. I heard that Oishi-san has been holed up in the station since Mio-san's murder case, so I should be able to reach him any time. I have the number for the direct line to his office, too. The sky was still bright. Even though I had no time, I still had to wait for it to get dark. Frustrated, I glared at the sunset. I should find something to do. I couldn't waste any time that I had, so there must be something to do. You're just going to read more of the scrapbook. After I thought about what I could do, I found there was something I wanted to confirm. Something I've been worried about. I couldn't do anything else before it got dark anyway. Staying here doing nothing would just make me more frustrated. I made my decision and left the hideout. Alright, so are we back to Keiichi now? Rena's father paced up and down restlessly in front of his house. A bicycle appeared, its rider ringing the bell.
Shuzai-san! Koko desu! Koko desu!
No, maybe we might just be on Rena's dad. A police officer from the Hinamizawa police station had shown up. Having rushed to get there, he was breathing hard.
お待たせしました。状況をお伺いします。
確かに施錠して出て行ったんです。そうしたら、まず家の扉が開きっぱなしになってまして。
He led the police officer into the house. The money's gone.
それで、私の部屋の手提げ金庫がまんまとやられまして。
ご主人、これはその時のまま？触ってない？
ええ。犯人の指紋とかあるだろうと思いまして、金庫には触れてません。ただ中身を確認したので、中のものには少し触れています。
それで、取られたものは？
貯金通帳と印鑑は大丈夫だったんですが、中に入ってた現金を全部。
通帳と印鑑、大丈夫だったんですか？そりゃあ不幸中の幸いでしたね。最近は通帳から足がつくと思って、プロは現金しか持ってかないんですよね。こりゃあだいぶ手慣れた空き巣かな。金庫ごと持ってかないで、この場で開けちゃうってんだから、相当のプロだね。で、お金はどのくらいやられちゃって？
ちょっと数えてなかったんですが、多分1万円札で100枚近くはあったと思います。
ああ、そう。
Bro lost a lot of money.
それだけの現金が入ってることを誰かに知らせた？
いえ、誰にも知らせてはいませんが、あの女たちならこの家に金があることを知っていたかも。
The only person who knew was Rena.
あの女？ちょっとお話を聞かせていただけますか？
実はあまりみっともいい話じゃないんでお恥ずかしいんですが。
So this is, oh man, I'm guessing Rena and Teppei are about to be brought to light and the relationship like Rena had with them, and if they're missing people, suddenly they might look suspicious.
マミヤ・リナという女とですね。
Just then, the phone rang.
すみません、ちょっと出てきますね。すぐ戻ります。
He grabbed the phone. So is this from the perspective of the police officer then, maybe?
はい、リュウグウです。
すみません。前原と申しますが、レナさんはいらっしゃいますか？
レーナはまだ帰ってきてません。
まだ帰ってない？
申し訳ないんですが、ちょっと今立て込んでます。遊びの電話でしたら、またかけ直していただけますかね。申し訳ないですね。失礼いたします。
He hung up after that. Oh, Keiichi really needed to belt out like, hey, Your daughter left school early. She's missing. Like, I was stunned. It didn't look like anything had changed on the surface. It was hard to find this place at all because it perfectly blends in with the surroundings. I only found this place again because I remember there's a tree with a big lump of wood on it nearby. The spot where I buried the corpses was perfectly camouflaged, as if nothing had happened. That's why, at first, I thought I came to the wrong place. But I can make certain once I stick a shovel in the ground, I should be able to tell right away whether this place was dug up before or not. After several false starts, I found the exact spot where I buried the corpses. But the biggest problem of all is that there are no bags in there at all. Why? How come? Did I bury them deeper than this? No, I didn't. I remember exactly how deep I buried them. I know I didn't bury them deeper than this. I wasn't expecting this. I came here to check the corpses. I just wanted to do that to kill some time. Now we're getting a Chapter 3 parallel. So, Rena got a little paranoid about the bodies and went to go dig them up, and they're not there. So, we might have had another cover-up, right? Like, they got moved again, right? I didn't want to stay in my hideout doing nothing, so I came here to check if the corpses I buried were still there. I'd make sure that they were still there, and I'd feel relieved. It was supposed to go like that. This was such an unexpected turn of events that I broke out into a cold sweat. What's going on? What's going on? I don't need to calm down to think about what happened. Corpses can't come back to life and crawl out of the ground. Someone must have dug them out. Who did it, and for what purpose? Did anyone happen to see us burying the corpses here, and did they dig them out after we left? What if they handed them over to the police? No, it can't be. It's been quite a while since the day we buried them here. It was before the Watanagashi festival, so if the police did find the corpses, when Oishi contacted me, he had to know about Rena and Teppei. But he didn't tell me anything about them. I don't think he was hiding anything on purpose either. So that means the police don't know about Rena and Teppei yet. Then why are the corpses gone? They'll leave only one answer. Who knows about this place? One of us came back here, dug out the bags, and took them away. The first person who comes to mind is Mion, the Sonozaki family. But I can't think of a reason why they would do that. The murder of Rena and Teppei has nothing to do with them. I'm sure they don't want to get involved either, let alone be falsely accused. They must want to stay as far away from this case as possible. Why would they want to keep the corpses? It's like keeping a Joker even though you'll lose if you have the Joker by the end of the game. If I was Michan, what would I do? What would I do if I was club president? The Joker is a card that you want to get rid of, at least in the game I mentioned earlier, but it becomes a powerful card in other games. What kind of game would that be? An electric shock ran through my spine. At the same time I realized that they're one step ahead of me. The Sonozaki family got the corpses to use them as a Joker, as a wild card. They're trying to use them to sell me out to the police. The Sonozaki family is trying to kill me using their death squad, but they want to have insurance just in case they fail. The thing they're afraid of the most is that I might work together with the police. If they could prevent that from happening, I'd have no one to work with. If that happens, I can no longer run away from them. I'd still be a fish in their pond. They're going to use the corpses to sell me out to the police for the murder of Rena and Teppei. If the police started seeing me as a suspect, they'd never listen to my story. They could have been my last hope, but this will certainly turn them against me. But I'm sure the Sonozaki family doesn't want to use their Joker unless absolutely necessary. After all, Mio and Sonozaki helped bury the corpses. Plus, they don't want the police to hover around Hinamizawa when the day of revival is so close. I'm going to call Oishi tonight, and I'm going to ask him for help. I'm going to tell him everything, including the things I haven't even told Keiichi-kun. I don't know if Oishi will believe me. This is a gamble, and my chance of winning is very small. Plus, my worst enemy has the Joker, the bags with the corpses inside. I'm impressed with Mion. That's just what I'd expect from the leader of our club. This is a battle that I'm betting my life on. But to Mion, this is like a board game, taking place across Hinamizawa itself. I don't think I even need to say how delusional she is, which is why I'm just continuing to move. This is a crazy stance. I grinned, repeating to myself that it's just a game. I put my life on the line for every club activity we do because I don't want to suffer the punishment. This time, that's become the literal truth. There could be only one reason why they're trying so hard to drive me into a corner. It's because they're afraid of me. I assumed I was just a little girl with no power running about in confusion, but my enemy must not be thinking that way. If they didn't think I was a threat to them, they wouldn't take risks like this to drive me into a corner. That means the scrapbooks Mio-san left me must be way more dangerous to them than I think they are. I see. They have a joker, but so do I. The joker I have is so deadly and so powerful that it can break their plot into pieces. That's why they're so eager to find me. A cornered mouse really can bite a cat. I felt my fear toward my enemy fade away all of a sudden. Just as I fear them, so do they fear me, too. So this is an evenly matched game. I don't have as bad a hand as I thought I did. I was right to come here. I found out about the card my enemy was holding. This is a big deal. I felt myself shiver with excitement. I grinned to encourage myself. I don't need to be here any longer. They know this place. They might come here to find me. It's not safe for me to stay here for long. I decided to go back to my hideout. On the way back, I passed close to my house. I noticed something different right away. I hid behind a bush and looked at the front gate of my house. My father was talking to a police officer. Oh no. Dude, I really don't think I have to say anything, but she has lost it, man. She has lost it. I think the real likely story, based on what we've seen from the tips, is that Mio knew that that area was getting dug up over the summer. And so they just moved them, right? Or she probably just moved them in secret. But Rena's taking all of these things as a sign, right? Everything is part of this grand conspiracy to her, when it doesn't have to be that. A lot of these things have explanations, right? In this case, there's a police officer here because you just robbed your dad. But she's probably going to be like, my father's in on the conspiracy. They're on to me. They're tracking me down. The police are on to me. Right? I guarantee that's what we're about to get. My father was talking to a police officer. I strained to catch their conversation.
はい。いつもはそこに止めてあるはずなんです。
My father pointed to the place where I usually parked my bicycle.
わかりました。もしお嬢さんが帰られましたらご連絡をください。こちらの方でも探してみます。
Mi-chan, you're good. Did you already play your joker? Mion always starts a battle by attacking without hesitation and wins. It seems like the police are already after me. My chance of being able to explain the conspiracy to Oishi was already small, but this makes it even smaller. No. That's why I'm going to talk to Oishi. He sees the Sonozaki family as his enemy, and he's trying to expose everything about them before his retirement. That's why he'll be on my side. He's not going to fall for their trick. Of course, there's a very high possibility that everything was part of their trap from the very beginning. It's possible that he claimed the Sonozaki family was his enemy in order to make me believe that he's on my side. There is still a small part of me that wonders if that's true, or if Oishi is genuinely trustworthy and is just trying to deal with this conspiracy. It's just one of those things where so many bad things happen around him that you gotta wonder, is it just bad luck because of Hinamizawa being how it is, or is he part of what is causing the scenarios at times, right? You almost have to wonder. Right now, I'd lean towards he's not a pure villain, but we'll see. But their Joker is actually giving me hope. If Oishi is one of them, it would be too early to play their Joker. Oishi isn't one of them. That's why they got the Joker, so they can play it before I go to the police. No, wait, that might be a trick to make me think that way in order to make me trust Oishi. When Mion gives me two choices to choose from, it's usually better to choose the one I like without thinking too much. Mion, after all, likes to guess people's intentions in order to confuse them. So when you think about a choice too much, you're already in her trap. That is actually true. Even beyond her delusions, that is true. I'm going to do as I planned. I'm going to call Oishi after it gets dark. If he's going to become my ally, we can talk about the future. And if he isn't, that, I realized, was what I had to think about before it got dark. Bro, yeah. This just keeps getting more and more insane, right? Just how crazy she's gotten, you know? So is this going to be the phone call?
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say it's kind of interesting how the text box for Rena is progressively getting more red. Because it was more of a pink color before, right? I think that's a little interesting, probably intentional.
残業代はついちゃいませんが、ちゃんと勤務中ですので。
I started the conversation with an ordinary greeting to try and gauge his reaction. There's a 50-50 chance that Oishi is one of them. If he's their pawn, he'll either lure me out somewhere so he can arrest me, or they ask me where the scrapbooks are. But even if he didn't, that wouldn't prove anything. It's going to be difficult to determine if he's on my side or not, and I'd have to tell him about the scrapbooks no matter what. My heart's beating very fast. Even if I was sure that Oishi isn't their pawn, I'd still have to make him believe such a crazy story. And I'd have to do that over the phone. Worrying wouldn't do anything for me. This is, I know, a gamble. I have but a small chance of winning. If I didn't put my chips on the table, the game wouldn't even start.
以前も少し話しましたが、やっぱり私、何者かに狙われてるみたいです。
それは本当ですか？
She hears the footsteps, doesn't she?
ええ、以前まではひょっとすると気のせいかもしれないと思う程度だったのですが、昨日あたりから間違いないと思うレベルになりました。
I'm definitely going to lock in on this conversation, by the way. I don't know how much I'm going to be saying here.
間違いないレベルと言いますと
Gotta be the footsteps.
数台の車が私の身辺を伺っているようなんです。うちの1台は白いワゴン車で、造園屋に偽装した4人の特攻隊と思われる人間が乗っています。
特攻隊というと園崎家の暗殺部隊の？
はい、おそらくそうに違いないと思います。今日学校にまで詰めかけてきました。あわやのところで逃れましたが、危ないところでした。
しかしなんだって急に。まさか竜宮さんが富武殺しについて嗅ぎ回っているとでも思い込んだんですかね。
Oishi hasn't mentioned the scrapbooks yet. It sounded rather unnatural to beat around the bush like that by mentioning Tomatake's murder. But as I haven't told him about the scrapbooks, it could be a legitimate reaction.
実はですね、ついさっき嫌な話を耳にしました。もうちょっとちゃんと調べてからお耳に入れたかったのですが、お互い新情報を知ったら伝える約束です。
What's Oishi got here?
ですので、とりあえずお話しておきます。
What are the odds it's about Tepe or Rena?
実は、沖宮の園崎組で悪い動きがあるらしいんです。
園崎組で悪い動きですか？
ええ、ちょっとショックな話かもしれません。実は若い衆に人探しを命じているという話なんですがね。
人探し？
I don't know what to make of this. The fact that he's basically just... It's almost starting to look like he's just really trying to make her buy into her own delusions. Is that crazy? My heart stopped for a moment upon hearing that. Are they...
私もにわかには信じられません。探しているのはあなたらしいんですよ。竜宮レナを探させているそうなんです。まだ仕入れたばかりの情報なんで何が狙いかはつかめていませんが、
Well, she did go
あな
missing
たの名
today.
前が出ていることだけは間違いありません。
So I guess it wouldn't be that shocking if they were legitimately looking for Rena, especially if... And now that I'm thinking about it, actually this might be legitimate. Keiichi might have told Mion, like, what's going on, and so they might have an idea about what's really going on with Rena right now.
私が身に危険を感じ始めているという話、信じてもらえますか？
ねえ、互いの話がきれいに一致します。竜宮さん、これはどういうことですか？お心当たりは？
What they're really looking for are the scrapbooks I have. They want to know where they are, and they believe that I'm hiding them. They must be thinking that they'll be able to hide the information in the scrapbooks forever if they succeed in shutting my mouth. But I couldn't tell Oishi-san about that yet. I answered his question by asking him a question.
大石さんの方で何かわかりませんか？私には全然どうしてだか。
私だってわかりません。園崎組があなたという個人を狙って動くなんて考えられない。でも事実なんです。信頼できる筋から得た情報で紛れはありません。
I wonder who the reliable source is. I mean, first guess is like Irie, but I don't know.
園崎組が私に関心があるのではなく、園崎本家が私に関心があるというのはどうですか？
こう言っ った動きはめったに見せるものではありません。例えば組の上納金の持ち逃げがあったとか、そういうトラブルがあった時にはこういう騒ぎもあったりします。
In this case, isn't that almost literally true?
でもそれは大抵組関係の業界の話で、仇である個人が対象となるなんて前例がありません。
私がその貴重な一例目であるのは嬉しいですが、前例がないで済まされちゃこっちはたまらないです。
まあ竜宮さん、落ち着いて落ち着いて。今度は竜宮さんが話す番じゃないんですか？
何をですか？
竜宮さん、園崎組がこういう動きを見せることはおいそれとあることじゃありません。
He's aware she's hiding something.
何かの誤解にしたってなかなかあることじゃない。心当たりはありませんか？竜宮さんにとっては何気ない何かが彼らを誤解させている可能性もあります。私の読みでは連中、あなたが園崎本家周辺を嗅ぎ回っていて、何かとんでもない事実をつかんだ。もしそれは竜宮さんが日々の生活でしてしまうような些細なものじゃない。もっと目立つ何かです。本当に心当たりはありませんか？
Is he my ally or my enemy? I still can't figure it out. This is it. Make your decision, Rena Ryugu.
多分私がミオさんのスクラップ帳を預かっているからだと思います。
ミオさん、高野ミオのスクラップ帳ですか？そいつは一体。
If he was my enemy, he wouldn't be able to hide his excitement. But his voice remained steady, and it didn't sound unusual when he said the word scrapbooks.
はい、実は私、ミオさんが殺される数日前にその時に意気投合して彼女に研究をまとめたスクラップ帳を数冊預けられたんです。
研究をまとめた？
はい、ミオさんはひなみ沢村の歴史について深く研究していたんです。そしてそれらを数冊のスクラップ帳にまとめていました。奴らはミオさんを殺した時、スクラップ帳が何冊か足りないのに気づき、それを私に託していたことを気づいたのだと思います。
奴らの狙いはスクラップ帳？リグさん、それは一体何なんですか？
ひなみ沢がかつて鬼ヶ淵村と呼ばれていた太古の昔についての研究をまとめたものです。
See if Oishi buys all this.
お社様信仰の発祥について書かれています。
お社様信仰？人食い鬼の末裔が仙人になってっていう？
ええ、ミオさんはその研究の中でお社様信仰についてのある重大な秘密を暴いたんです。その研究結果はお社様を神聖であると崇める人たちにとっては極めて冒涜的な内容でした。
なるほどなるほど。信仰の特に盲信的な連中にはその研究の存在が許せなかった。
Oishi was taking notes. I could hear him writing something while he spoke.
彼らはミオさんを消し、そのミオさんが残したスクラップ帳も葬ろうとしているんです。最初のうちは私が持っているのかどうか分かりかねているようだったんですが、
Now
昨日を境に疑わしきは殺せという方針に変わったように感じています。
なるほど。
Yeah, I mean, the leaps are crazy, man.
それは好ましい状況ではありません、ね。
I wonder how much of this Oishi really
あな
buys.
たの身辺を警戒させましょう。
He's like low-key a conspiracy theorist, honestly, so...
あと、そのスクラップ帳を拝見させてください。高野殺しの何かの手がかりになるかもしれない。
あ、いえ、警察の内部にも奴らの手先が混じっている可能性が高いです。ですから身辺の警戒は結構です。自分の身は自分で守ります。あとスクラップ帳も同じです。彼らはそれを抹消しようとするでしょう。たとえ警察の中であっても。
園崎組があなた一人をターゲットに動いている以上、もしこれが園崎本家の頂上からの指令なら、その可能性は確かにありますね。
Is bro just as delusional?
園崎本家が敵だった場合、悔しいですが私たちの中にも内通者がいないとは限りません。
そういうことです。ですから私のことは気にしないでください。それよりお願いがあります。とてもとても重要なお願いです。
言ってください。何ですか？
ミオさんの研究によるならば、今ひなみ沢の闇に恐ろしい陰謀があり、それが遠くないうちに実行されそうなんです。
陰謀？それは一体何です？
I got tense all of a sudden. If I tell him everything, it's gonna sound like a big lie. I should leave out the bizarre sounding parts for now. It'd actually make the story more credible.
奴らの正体はお社様信仰の狂信者たちです。
Even she realized that it sounds ridiculous.
奴らは明治以降すっかり下火になってしまったお社様信仰と意向を取り戻し、太古の鬼ヶ淵村の時代のような厳格な信仰を復活させようとしているんです。
続けてください。
It's about how I sound half the time during these long, monologues. I feel, interesting. I'm listening.
メモしてます。
ミオさんの研究によると、お社様伝説の根底には大昔のある風土病の存在があるんです。その風土病の猛威がお社様のたたりと恐れられ、それを治療できる医者的存在がお社様と崇められ、村を支配した。
そうだったんですか。なるほど。続けて。
その風土病は土着のある特殊な寄生虫によるものだったんです。ですが長い世代を繰り返すうちに徐々に無害になっていき、彼らにとって風土病が無害ではお社様のたたりがなく、たたりがなければ救いも必要ない。
I feel like he's gonna buy into all of this.
だからお社様の神聖性が保てないわけです。
I feel like what's gonna happen this chapter, Rena's gonna go crazy. Oishi is gonna have all this information, and he's gonna look into all of this. Rena's gonna end up dying. We're gonna get back to the perspective of Keiichi, and I feel like right at the end of the chapter, we're gonna get like a talk between Keiichi and Oishi. Like, this is just what I'm seeing in my head right now. Like, I don't know why, gut feeling. We're gonna get that conversation between Keiichi and Oishi, and he's gonna be like, so nothing Rena ever said was true, and then Oishi's gonna like drop the bombshell, and he's gonna be like, I looked into it all. None of it was true, except one thing. Right? And I mean, like, I think it's the parasite, right? He's gonna be like, I did find evidence of a parasite, right? And boom, bombshell. You hear the he go boom, right, and it ends, right? That's what I'm predicting. That's just my gut feeling, right? Let's keep going. Sorry.
それを復活させようとしたら、それはつまり風土病を蘇らせるということを意味するわけですかな。
そうです。奴らはお社様伝説をゼロからもう一度やり直し、お社様の降臨を再現しようとしているんです。そのため古代の強力な風土病を再発させる原始の寄生虫を研究していたと思われます。連続開始事件の正体はこの研究結果を試すものだったんです。そして富武さんに対して古文書に残る氏脇病を再現できた。奴らは5年かけて原始の力を持つ寄生虫を復活させたんです。
なんてこった。
奴らの最終的な目的はその寄生虫をばらまき、お社様に帰依する者のみを特効薬で救い、お社様信者のみの楽園を作ろうとしているんです。
I think it's really interesting looking at this conversation and realizing how many of these deductions were made by Rena, right? Rather than like being something in the scrapbooks. A lot of these are deductions that Rena made, and those are the things that I trust the least.
それは間違いなく事実でしょうね。
このスクラップ帳にはその寄生虫がひなみ沢の人間のほぼ全員に寄生している事実が書かれています。医学的根拠に基づいていて、その寄生を間違いなく裏付けます。
信じられない。そう、お寮のババアめ、ほっときゃいつでもお迎えが来るだろうに。自分一人じゃ三途の川一つ渡らないのか。こいつは無差別テロだぞ。なんてこった。
本来の寄生虫はひなみ沢一帯にしか適用できませんでしたが。
Bro, it definitely sounds like he's buying into this. I gotta hope that we're gonna get like a Keiichi situation, like from this chapter, where he's like active listener, like, what? This is crazy, right now, and then the phone call's gonna end, and he's like, what the fuck is she talking about, right?
彼らはその競技の傾向から より広域にわたって寄生虫が環境適応できるよう改良を加えている可能性が高いです。ひなみ沢だけにとどまらない。沖宮を飲み込むか、市内全域に及ぶか、県全体にまで及ぶか。
くそったり、どうすりゃいいんだ、くそ。
Bro, he definitely sounds like he's bought
首
in.
謀者は誰です？
ひなみ沢御三家、おそらくは園崎家の当主でしょう。ただしお涼が主会なのか、お涼すらも駒なのかは分かりません。私には奴らを奴らと呼ぶことしかできない。その規模も全く分からないんです。
その研究がどこで行われているか分かりますか？
She's gonna cite the Irie
そ
clinic.
こを抑えます。
それはこのスクラップ帳にも書かれていません。大石さんの方で見当はつきませんか？
そんな寄生虫だのなんだのの研究をしてるってことは
Is he gonna cite the,
かなりしっ
the
かり
Irie
した施
clinic?
設でしょうな。改造拳銃ぐらいならガレージを改造して秘密工場にもできるだろうが、寄生虫じゃそうはいかないでしょう。
ミオさんは入江診療所に勤めている看護師でした。入江診療所が怪しいということはありませんか？ひなみ沢の規模から見て立派すぎるのが前から不審だと思っていました。
はあ、入江診療所か。
They need a specially designed facility with advanced airtight containment, among other considerations, to be able to do research on dangerous parasites like this one. It's easy to equate suspicious research with the clinic facility, but it also sounds too easy and a little cliche. At first, I thought they converted part of the clinic into a secret research center, but that actually sounds a little too unrealistic.
とにかくそれがどこかは分かりません。それはどうか大石さんの方で調べてください。怪しげなところを片っ端から調べられないんですか？
Yeah, just too easy.
ご存知の通り、
Yeah,
警
like
察は強制捜査には令状ってもんが必要です。そりゃ後付けで取ることもできますがね、間違いなくそこだという決定的な証拠があった時の話です。
Oishi is a police officer. If he's gonna work as a police officer, he has to follow their rules.
でも大掛かりな細菌テロが計画されているのだけは事実なんです。しかもミオさんの殺し方の請求さから見て、私は彼らが実行に移す X デーが近いような気がしてなりません。
わかりました、わかりました。こちらの方でも何とかしています。そんなとんでもない計画なら園崎本家も一枚岩ってわけにはいかないでしょう。必ずどこかに胸中で反対している人間がいるはずです。そういう人物と接触できないか。任せてください。こういうのは私の得意とするところですよ。
This is gonna be interesting. I wonder if he's gonna find any real evidence. Wouldn't that be funny? What if Ren is actually right? You know how funny that would be? Like, actually, you know how funny that would be? This whole time I've been like, she's so delusional, she's crazy, bro. And what if she was right? That would be way too funny. Oishi laughed to try to cheer me up. I was upset with the work of the police before, but Oishi's positive reaction is very reliable. He's what you might call an outlaw. Oishi's greatest advantage to me is that he doesn't exactly play by the rules. That is true. It's very encouraging that he has that kind of skill, especially since we have to act both very quickly and without conclusive evidence. The police normally investigate incidents after they've happened, but that doesn't work in this case. If this incident actually does occur, it's going to be a big disaster.
ミオさんはなんて恐ろしい陰謀を暴いたんだろうと恐ろしくなります。
気の毒な最後でした。岐阜の山中でドラム缶の中でこんがりでしてね、気の毒なことです。ああ、そうそう、そういえば。
Are we gonna get, like, is he gonna tell, like, the date of death or
ちょ
something?
いと彼女のことで変わった話がありましてね。
Yep, here it is.
変わった話ですか？
最初何か事件に関係があるのかなって思ってたんですがね、今のとてつもない陰謀の話に比べたらさまつな話です。多分鑑識のちょっとしたミスでしょう。
God damn it.
いえ、聞かせてください。そういう約束じゃなかったですか？
いえ、隠すつもりなんかありません。ただちょいと夏向きな話だったもんで。
Here we go.
リグさん、渡流しの晩覚えてますか？あの晩の祭りの終わった後です。あなたの仲良し5人組と富武、高野の7人で談笑してますよね。
談笑というほどではありませんでしたが、少し話をしたような気がします。
いえ、実はですね、
Here we go.
高野の遺体が見つかったのはその晩なわけですが。 でもそれだと話がおかしい。あの祭りの前の晩には殺されていることになる。
殺されてることになる。
I'm confused. If she was found dead on the night of Watanagashi and she'd been dead for 24 hours, that
つ
means...
まり早い話が、渡流しの日には高野はもう死んでることになるんですよ。
Yep.
だからあの祭りの晩に会った彼女は実はゾンビだったのかななんてね。なまあ、あちらの鑑識のちょいとしたポカでしょう。
No, she's not going to take that the right way. That's going to freak her out. I felt my brain freezing over. Oishi laughed, saying that it sounded like a horror story from summer camp. But actually, the fact that Mio-san's time of death was off backed up her incredulous theories. I haven't mentioned this one to Oishi or Keiichi-kun. If I did, they start to doubt everything else I've said. That's how absolutely unbelievable this theory is. At any rate, the mismatch with the time of Mio-san's death means a lot. What irony. Mio-san came up with the theory, and she proved it correct with her own life. What detail? I need to know this detail. No, not yet. This doesn't prove anything yet. If her theory is true, it might happen again. There's no way. It can't be true. I still can't believe it. But Oishi just said it. He said Mio-san was already dead on the night of the festival. It means that the Mio-san who was walking arm in arm with Toмотake-san on that night wasn't Mio-san. Mio-san was already dead, so that wasn't her. Oh, what is it? More like the parasites controlling them thing. That means she was... I felt a new sensation, one I'd never felt in my life before. It wasn't an ordinary kind of dread. It was fear of the truth. No fear is worse than the fear of accepting a truth you don't want to believe. Compared to this fear, the fear of being stalked by the Sonozaki family or being burned alive in an oil drum looked silly. That's how deep of a fear I felt. And I felt it crawling all over my body.
リュウさん、悪いことは言いません。警察が信用できないお気持ちもわかります。園崎本家は市内全域を牛耳っていますからね。署にも園崎家の御用聞きみたいな連中がいますし、それでも今のあなたは危険だ。それで、私個人を信用してはくれませんか。私以外の誰も知らないところにあなたをかくまいます。私をどうか信用してください。
I don't doubt Oishi at this point. I actually think he's very reliable. I would have said yes without a second thought, but the situation has drastically changed. If Mio-san's death backs up this unbelievable truth, I trust Oishi. I believe he'll find the enemy and take them down. But I'd rather protect myself on my own than let someone else do it. If the unbelievable truth is real, then I couldn't trust anybody except myself. No, even myself might appear before me too. Are we on like doppelganger theory now?
大石さん、本当にありがとうございます。とにかく奴らの研究所を突き止めて、なんとか陰謀を食い止めてください。私はしばらく身を潜めます。また連絡しますね。
I noticed I'd been on the phone too long. I'd been using this phone booth with a light on in the middle of the darkness. In other words, I'd been telling everybody I'm here.
もしもし、もしもし。
She hung up. Okay, so we're to Oishi's perspective. I really want to see his actual thoughts on things. Does he buy all this? Oishi wanted to talk more. He clicked his tongue and put the phone down. His junior, Kumagai, rushed into the room.
おいさん、やっぱりヤバそうな山っす。竜宮レナを探させているのは園崎組葛西達義。
葛西？園崎茜の懐刀じゃないですか。
Okay, so obviously we're well aware of who Kasai is and his relationship with Shion and to an extent Mion, so I kind of wonder if this is really just a request from Mion or Shion. Tatsuyoshi Kasai was a pretty high-ranking big shot, even amongst the boss's younger brothers. He used to be the boss of a subordinate branch, but after suffering a bad injury during a gang war, he stepped down, and now he served as the boss's aide. Akane Sonozaki relies especially on him, and as a right-hand man, he's still feared even now. When Kasai moves, other gangs consider it as a declaration of war. They fear him very much. He's a warrior among warriors. He's been lying low these days, but he's led countless numbers of gang wars. He was also the leader of the professional attack squadron that went to the US to receive military training during the dam conflict. They were crazy enough to think of attacking the Ministry of Construction for real.
情報や界隈でも相当な騒ぎになってるようです。竜宮レナが園崎組にとって相当都合の悪いものを握ってるんじゃないかともっぱらの噂です。
情報屋の皆さんもさすがに勘がいいですね。こりゃとんでもない山になってきたぞ。
I mean, in Oishi's shoes, if I hear something like that, literally directly after that conversation, it would be kind of hard to not at least somewhat believe it.
佐藤さんは例の建設省と寮の秘密交渉テープじゃないかって見てるみたいっす。だとすれば人が死ぬ騒ぎになるっすよ。
This is more serious than that, Hoishi thought. If her story is true, this is a massive conspiracy. It's going to cause more than quite a few deaths. It might destroy the entire village, or even the entire prefecture. This is going to be the biggest terrorist strike in history.
竜宮レナ、やばいですよ。くまちゃん、覆面パトを竜宮家に貼り付かせてください。本日付で竜宮レナから暴力団組織に脅迫を受けている訴えがあったため、身辺警護ってことにします。
Yeah, he definitely seems to buy into what she's saying.
課長には後で私から話します。
That's worrying.
いえ、その
Or concerning.
実は竜宮レナは自宅を出ているらしいです。駐在所からの連絡ではどうも家の金を何十万か盗んで雲隠れしているらしいんです。それから竜宮家の前には園崎組の車が1台張り付いているという連絡が。
バッカ野郎！なんでそいつは早く言わないんだ！竜宮レナは相当高度に狙われてるぞ。さっきの電話はいいじゃなかったんだ。竜宮レナを至急保護します。車回せ。家の前に張り付いてる野郎を締め上げろ。おい、我がの何か来い。
おっす。
Oh no. This is certainly about to get crazy.
え？レナさんが家にいない？この時間に？
はい。
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is probably just ordered by Shion. Because Rena is missing, like, and she's acting crazy. Keiichi might have spilled the beans, right, about what's going on. She's acting crazy. She's gone missing, right? Like,
しばらく家の前で待たせていただきましたが、戻られる気配がなかったもので、一度引き上げました。
her delusions and paranoia are gonna cause a lot of problems if I had to guess.
誰かの家に遊びに行ってるとかじゃない？案外本家でお姉たちと一緒に部活大会だったりしてね。
Wrong. Shion was lying down on the sofa, picturing her sister and her friends fooling around and playing games like they always did.
一応それを疑って本家にも寄らせていただきましたが、いらっしゃられないようでした。ミオンさんもレナさんがお帰りになられないのを心配しておられました。
Okay, so maybe Shion doesn't have some information regarding like what's going on with Rena really. Sounds like she's kind of learning it now.
どうしたんだろうね。はって。
めったにないことだろうとは思いますが、たちの悪いのに絡まれたのかもしれません。念のためレナさんを見かけていないかどうか聞き込ませています。
Yeah, see, and that's about what I figured this was.
あの子に限っては大丈夫だと思うけどな。何気に強いしね。
それはそうと、私に何の用だったんです？
Oh my god, I forgot about that! I completely forgot about that. That one is on me because it's been a few months. She explicitly wanted a meeting with Kasai because of the whole Tepe thing. Oh my goodness. Kasai took off his jacket. She only told him to go see Rena because she heard that Rena had requested to see him in person. Yeah.
あれ？言わなかったっけ？なんかね、葛西の落とし物を拾ってるらしいよ。お姉が言うには、レナさんそれを直接返したいんだってさ。
Oh my god, another misunderstanding.
おうおう、いいね。若い子にモテることで。
堪忍してください。しかし、ご無事だといいのですが。
Right then, the phone rang. Kasai answered it while loosening his tie.
はい。はい。わかりました。直ちに。
Kasai sounded very serious, and Shion immediately figured out who he was talking to.
誰？お父さん？
はい。
レナさんを大至急保護して本家へ護送せよとの園崎本家からの命令です。
鬼ババの直令？
This is so many new songs.
レナさん、何をやらかしたんだか。ああ、爪かな。かわいそうに。くわばらくわばら。
Why she have that grin while she's saying that?
レナがまだ帰ってないって？
うん、実は聞いた話だと、レナ自宅を出てどこかに雲隠れしてるらしい。
You guys know exactly where she's hiding. Be for real.
雲隠れ？どういうことだ？
あとこれはさっき入ってきた情報なんだけど、警察がリュウグウレナの行方を探してるって。
And now they're gonna think it was because of the bodies.
なんだって？
なんでもレナの家の前にはすでに覆面パトカーが1台張り付いてるらしい。村の中にもすでにサイレンなしのパトカーが数台入り込んでるみたい。あと君吉本家にも警察から電話があって、リュウグウレナの所在を至急確認したいので懲戒連絡網で確認をしてほしいと連絡があったって。
ってことはまさか俺たちの隠した死体が見つかったってことが。
We hid them deep in the mountains. They couldn't have found them that easily.
うん、それは 100% ありえない。
Because she moved them.
私が保証するよ。
Yeah.
おう、よく 100% なんて言い切れるな。
She moved them.
実はね、あの死体、園崎家の方で
I mean, like-
秘密の場所に処分させてもらったの。
Mind you, what does that mean for Chapter 3 when the Sonozakis know about their friends committing a murder?
秘密の場所？
まあ
They're in the well.
そこは深く考えない。あのね、私たちが埋めたあの山林、後でよくよく聞いてみたら今年の夏に大規模な伐採計画があるって分かったの。だからちょっと私の方で手を回させてもらったってわけ。
そっか。
Exactly what
な
I
るほどな。
thought. Like, I mean, it's not like it was a crazy conclusion to reach, but like...
お前、味方なら頼りになるけど、敵だったら怖いやつだな。
The point is that there are logical explanations for a lot of the things that are freaking Rena out.
おじさんを誰だと思ってるんだか。
じゃあ、死体じゃないよな。一体どうして警察がレナを？
わからない。北条哲平と間宮里奈が竜宮家を食い物にしようとしてたって話は裏の界隈ではちょっと知られてたらしいんだよ。そっちの角度からレナが浮上したのかもしれない。とにかく容疑者ってわけじゃないみたい。でも重要参考人とかって扱いではあるだろうね。
Yeah.
どっちだって同じだぜ。くそ、せっかくレナは平穏な生活を取り戻したんだぞ。
No, the hell she did not.
ここで台無しになんかしてたまるか。ミオ、俺たちでなんとかレナをかばおう。
Yeah, this is turning into a huge thing with the Sonozaki family and the police both looking for her at the same time. Oh no.
当然だよ。とにかく警察よりも先にレナの身柄を確保するようさっき沖宮の家に伝えた。本家でならレナを 120% 警察から守れる。
So that's why they want her at the main house.
レナをかくまう
They
だけ
think
じゃ
she needs protected
解
from the
決にはならないん
police.
じゃないの
The
か。
police think she needs protected from the Sonozaki family.
レナの嫌疑をなんとかしないと。
そこは保護してから考えるよ。アリバイを証明する証人なんかいくらでも作れるし、本家に出入りしてる最高の弁護士もいる。私たちは仲間を絶対に見捨てない。
Man, where was this for Satoshi? Bro, where was this for Satoshi?
ああ、そうさ。絶対にレナを守ってやろうな。くそ、俺ができるのはミオンに頼るだけかよ。情けねえぜ。
I'd also say where was this for Chapter 3 Keiichi to a degree, but I think they did kind of help him. He just didn't know.
まあまあ、蛇の道は蛇ってことだよ。
That's fair. That's a decent, like, you know, I guess, like platitude, you
お
know?
じさんの方で手を尽くすから、ここは任せな。あと、村全体で警察の目をごまかすため、レナがゴグラのあたりで目撃されたことにしよう。警察の目が広域に散れば、それだけ薄くなるはずだよ。
なるほどな。そいつはうまいぜ。
こんなのはダム戦争の頃はお手の物だったよ。
Yeah, I was gonna say, they've been here, done this.
絶対にレナをかばいきってみせる。あと、ケイちゃん。レナはケイちゃんのことは特に信頼してた。だから、 レナの方からケイちゃんのところに現れる可能性が、その時にはすぐ保護してあげてほしい。その時は私にもすぐ連絡してね。
お、わかったぜ。
レナは強い子だからね。きっとこんな苦難も乗り越えてみせるよ。
Yeah, I don't know how much you're probably placing a little too much faith in her right now. It's not that she's not strong enough to do these things. It's more like she's crazy. What she's overcoming is of her own volition.
そうだな。
Right? This is all on her. Like, if that makes sense. I hesitated to say something. Rena hadn't been her normal self lately. If she was her normal self, I'd have no doubt that she could overcome this, exactly. But Rena is deeply convinced that Takano-san's delusions are true. Rena believes the Sonozaki family is behind the conspiracy. I'm not sure if she trusts the Sonozaki family to protect her.
大丈夫だよ。私とレナだって仲間同士なんだからさ。腹を割って話せばすぐに誤解だって分かってくれるよ。ケイちゃんだって私と話して誤解が解けたんでしょ？
It's too late for her, I think.
よくもまあ、あんなとんでも話を信じたもんだよ。
まあな、我ながらよくあんな話を鵜呑みにしたもんだぜ、前原圭一。多分一生の恥だぜ。やれやれ。
Maybe, especially because it's kind of leading her on. It kind of led her on a little bit. I really was deeply convinced until I talked to Mion. Even after the promise of friendship we made, I doubted her. Takano-san was endowed with magic, and I think the scrapbooks she wrote also carried a spell. The scrapbooks can make people go mad. They're forbidden scrapbooks. Nobody was supposed to read them. Rena is captivated by the power of that magic, even after Takano-san's death. I have to wake her up. I've got a very, very bad feeling about it.
ああ、ごめん。来客だわ。なんだか警察っぽいな。じゃあこれで電話を切るね。
お、わかった。
レナは今晩以降、ゴグラのあたりに潜伏してることになってる。警察に何か聞かれても、知りません、会ってませんで通すんだよ。
お、了解。
Mio waited for my answer, then hung up the phone. After she hung up, I slowly started to feel like Rena was being consumed by some huge, unthinkable fate. It's not only the police I'm worried about. I'm also worried because Rena is ensnared by the power of Takano-san's magic. I fear that she might be suffering from incredible anxiety. Yeah. Oh, right. Rena might be hiding at her secret base in the garbage dump. Rena once told me that she used to spend time there when Rena-san was at her house, and she told me that she hid the scrapbooks there too. If she's hiding there, she must be hungry by now. I should bring her something to eat. I went to the kitchen to look for some junk food. My mother looked confused.
母さんごめん。ちょっと出かけてくるよ。
こんな時間に？もう遅いからよしなさい。
大切な用事なんだ。すぐ戻るよ。あとそれから、もし俺が留守の間にレナが来るようなことがあったら、黙って俺の部屋に通してほしい。それからレナの所在を尋ねる電話が来たら、知らないって言って切っちゃって。
Very normal situation, by the way. Can you imagine, like, asking that of your mother or your guardian, right? Like, I'm leaving with food. I don't care what the hour. If this friend of mine shows up, let them stay in my room. If anyone asks if they're there, you don't know where they are. Like, what? Whatever did, like, this situation, Rena has gotten a lot of people embroiled into a crazy situation, man. I'm worried that it's gonna, like, break out into something really serious, right? Rather than just being these search parties, I'm worried that her anxiety and paranoia is going to cause a real situation that might get people killed, right? Like, my mom looked angry that I was leaving the house at so late an hour, but I rushed out of the house before she could say anything. I grabbed a flashlight from the wall of the garage, got on my bicycle, and sped off into the darkness. The moon looked beautiful, but in a creepy way. I feel like something terrible is going to happen. I don't know what it is, but I know it's coming. Rena's definitely going to die soon. She's got a day or two, I'd bet, at most. And it's going to involve a little bit of this. Fingers meet throat. I don't know what it is, but I know it's coming. Something is going to happen. The moon, seemingly knowing just what that something will be, looked like it was laughing at us pacing back and forth in confusion. Damn it! Laugh all you want. Laugh at this funny story as much as you want. I'm not going to laugh. I'm going to fight. I'm going to smash through whatever fate is waiting for us. Rena, I hope you're there. Maybe my bicycle needs some oil? It was making a lousy noise as I pedaled. Damn it, even my bicycle is laughing at us. That's tough. Might make him kind of easy to follow, and if anyone sees Keiichi out and about right now, they probably know his relationship with Rena, you know? Okay. We're getting into the tips. Let's go ahead and read these. There's one. Them. Okay, so this is shortly after that. That's about what I expected. It's going to be, what, her perspective on who them or they are, I'm guessing. I finished talking with Oishi on the phone and soon left the phone booth. I realized something and a chill ran through my body. I was in a phone booth that stood out tremendously in the dark. Somebody must have seen me. I was certain I was being watched. I saw glowing eyes staring at me in the dark. It wasn't human. Was it an illusion? No. I knew who they were. They were the ones controlling the 3 families who ruled Hinamizawa. Its eye level was too low for it to be human, and its outline was vague. I knew from the past records that they were physically frail. The silhouette, which indicated its inhuman appearance, was unbelievably unrealistic, especially its protruding head. One of the scrapbooks I received from Mio-san described their appearance in detail. Their eyeballs were pure red, like blood, and their bodies smelled like ammonia. Even though some of them have, at times, been captured around the world, all of them melted or disappeared, leaving no trace behind. The only traces remaining are the marks proving their descent to Earth. Right then, the impossible, unrealistic silhouette took a step closer and got closer and closer towards me, making a realistic noise as it crunched across the gravel. The noise pulled me back to reality. It kept walking towards me. It sounded like it was kicking pebbles everywhere as it walked. It was coming closer and closer. I was scared, so I said the same thing once again. And this time, the glass door of the phone booth I was just in started to rattle and shake. Bang! It made weird sounds as if being struck by something. I screamed loudly in fear and started running. I ran so hard that it felt like my lungs were about to explode. And then I looked back to find that the thing was no longer chasing after me. Was it my imagination? There's no way it was just my imagination. I definitely heard the sound of the gravel being kicked and the phone booth rattling. I need to calm down. Right then, I needed to make my heart stop beating so fast. I'd have to fight them eventually. The next time they appeared, I was going to strike back at them. I was going to squash their heads with my big hatchet. I'd protect Hinamizawa. It was my duty to do so. I wouldn't allow them to do whatever they wanted. Why do I feel like she's going to kill Keiichi? She's going to kill Keiichi. I saw the lights flickering in my head again. So she's reached the hallucination stage. She does not have much time. She does not have much time. That is what we will say for sure. There is not much time left for her to live. Okay, this sub-chapter was definitely a crazy one. We're starting to see probably the direction this chapter is going a lot more clearly than before, right? Because a lot of everything leading up to the junkyard scene was very important. Don't get me wrong. It was very important, but in a lot of ways, it's relatively disconnected from what we're seeing now, besides how it affected her mental state. That's the important part. That's why it's so important, right? We get to understand her backstory and how she's starting to reach the mental state she's reached, right? Where she was so vulnerable, right? So distraught, and then these things could start affecting her to the point that they are now, right? But now is where things reach the closer to the grand scheme of the plot, like the overarching plot, right? This is more what we expect, right? And it makes sense. I can see some of the things they potentially might reveal, right? This time around, right? Whereas when we were just talking about the graveyard stuff, right? I keep saying graveyard, junkyard, the junkyard, right? When it was just the junkyard and Rena and Teppei, I was like, what are we going to learn from this? How is this going to connect? But now we're seeing the points where it might connect. So what's going on in this chapter is Rena's delusions have really, they've peaked, right? She's taken money, she's run away from home, and she calls Oishi, and she shares everything that she believes all of her theories she has shared with Oishi, who seems to take them pretty seriously, actually. And all of a sudden, he's concerned, and he gets off the phone and finds out that the Sonozakis are looking for her. And he's like, oh, we gotta put her under, like, protection. We gotta find her. So now the Sonozakis are looking for her, presumably because she went missing. She stole a local resident's money, right? Her friends are concerned, right? Like, things like this, right? And so Kasai was like, we're just gonna keep looking for her. Right, and it wasn't even just that. It was also like Kasai was trying to meet her in person because Rena requested this at some point. And so they were trying to meet, and Kasai's like, where is she? Right, like, and no one can find her, right? And then they call, like, the main house. They call Mion, and Mion's like, I don't know where she is, but I'm worried about her. I don't know where she is, right? And she left school early, right? And they start connecting these things, and they're like, we need to find her, right? Partially for that meeting, but the main house seemed to call down a reason that they need to capture her, or maybe not capture her, but to find her and bring her to the main house, whether that's because she's being punished for something, whether that's because they think they need to protect her, maybe at, like, Mion's order, I don't know. But point is, the Sonozaki start looking for her, so the police start looking for her, so the Sonozaki start looking for her even more, right, with Mion now. Everyone's looking for her because they're convinced this other force is trying to capture her and that she's in danger. And I don't think she's in danger at all. Well, she is, but it's going to involve her own fingers, right? And her throat, if I had to guess, right? So we got this big thing that's about to go down. I'm worried that someone's going to die, right? Keiichi is going to the junkyard, and if from what we've seen from this tip, Rena's starting to lose it. She's having hallucinations. She's talking about she's seeing a demon, right, following her, and this reminds me a lot of all the times we had Keiichi and he felt somebody's footsteps were following him, and same with Shion, right? She says next time she's going to hit it with a hatchet. What if she somehow has a hallucination and kills Keiichi, right? Like, what if that's where this is going? I don't know. What if the police and the Sonozakis end up in a standoff and some people are dying, right? And this is all caused by a completely preventable situation, right? That Rena most likely has just made up, right? It's very interesting, and we'll see where this goes. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next chapter. Well, I'm actually going to take a quick break, but then we will move on to the next sub-chapter. I'm really excited to see where this goes. We're definitely reaching ahead here. I'm loving this chapter so far, man. I'm really enjoying this. Alright, I will be right back. Okay, break done. Back for the next subchapter. That was subchapter 10, so this is going to be subchapter 11. We're going to see what happens with this, like, hunt for Rena. Who finds her first? What crazy situation is going to happen? Oh, she's in the hideout, and Keiichi's on his way. This might go bad. I think this is going to go bad. Even if I turned on the light in my hideout, nobody would see it because of the piles of abandoned cars in the way. While I'm aware of that, I decided not to turn it on, just in case. It's a bit scary to hide in this quiet place, alone in the dark, holding my breath. I'd have to keep myself busy with something, but my brain won't work properly, and I don't even have the energy to think about what to do from now on. However, I don't have the courage to lie down to sleep and regain my strength either. Every time I heard or thought I heard a suspicious sound, I'd gasp and stare into the dark. That's all I did, all night. Oishi believes that the Sonozaki family was behind the conspiracy, but he can't do much without solid evidence. For that, he has to locate the facility where they're doing research on the parasite, but we have no idea where it is. I think the Irie Clinic is still the most likely site, but I have no credible evidence. Really, I don't think they'd do their research in a place so obvious even I could guess it. They might be using one of the bomb shelters that was built during the war as some kind of secret underground research center. It's not impossible. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're guessing it's the Forbidden Storehouse. Which right now, I don't think we have any reason to believe that was going on there. It's not that it's impossible, but the times we've been there, we never saw anything like this. Now that I come to think about it, I remember a secret building nobody's allowed into on the premises of the Furude Shrine. I think it's called the Ritual Storehouse. According to Mio-san's research, the Furude Shrine is the center of the local worship of a Yashiro-sama. The priest keeps the tools for ceremonies in the Ritual Storehouse. One of the ceremonies is the bizarre festival, Watanagashi, and so the shrine storage must be something very sacred. If I remember right, Watanagashi was also a medical ritual designed to vaccinate and immunize people against the all-too-strong parasites. That means the tools they used for Watanagashi were medical ones. If my guess is right, the Ritual Storehouse is the most sacred place in the village, as well as the most appropriate building to use for medical purposes. It's suspicious. There might be a secret research center in the Ritual Storehouse. Ah, damn it. The police should be performing a raid on the Ritual Storehouse, not the Irie Clinic. Why didn't I think of that when I was talking with Oishi on the phone earlier? I hope Oishi realizes this too. Should I go back to the phone booth and tell him about the Ritual Storehouse? But when I thought that, I heard a car coming closer. I held my breath. It's not normal for a car to come here this late at night. I thought about many possibly scary scenarios, which made me nervous. After a while, I saw the headlights of the car near the former dam construction office. The car must have passed by me and gone to the office. But it's a deserted, empty office building. There's nothing there. It's not a place where people would visit this late at night. While I was staring into the dark, the engine of the car stopped, and its headlights were turned off. I could see 2 flashlights flickering in the darkness. The lights moved into the office building. They must think I'm hiding there. I held my breath and kept watch on their movements. I can't tell who they are, but I bet they're pawns of the Sonozaki family. They know that I ran away from home. They must be looking for me everywhere in the village. True. Though I needed to conceal my breath, my face started feeling itchy, and I had an urge to stretch my legs. My own body infuriated me. The humidity made me sweat all over, so the back of my knees and my neck had been itchy for quite a while. Scratching would make an unbelievably loud noise, so I decided not to scratch anymore. It usually doesn't make any noise when I just scratch some mosquito bites. I'm probably just being nervous and overreacting. There's quite the distance between me and them, and I'm in the dark, holding my breath. They wouldn't notice it even if I sneezed, let alone scratched myself. Do you think they wouldn't notice a sneeze? But I didn't want to make any noise at all, so I tried to forget the itchiness. But after all that, I ended up scratching everywhere like mad. I have to live in hiding like this for a while. I don't know how long I can go on when I'm so nervous on just the first night. I needed to toughen up more so I can remain placid, even in a situation like this. I forced myself to relax, scratched my neck without hesitation, and tried to cope with the sticky sweat all over my body. No, she's scratching her neck. Uh-oh, this might be bad. Is this it? Is she done for already? I started getting hungry. My stomach growled. That's a good sign, though, since it means I'm starting to relax. I can't eat yet, though. It'd make a lot of noise. I decided to wait until they finished looking for me and went away. Go away, go away. I can eat if you go away. It seemed like the intention I was sending out bore fruit. It stopped looking around the building. However, I must have concentrated my thoughts too strongly. They were pointing their flashlights in my direction. Did they notice me? No. Not only that, they're walking towards me. I made my body as small as possible, hid under the blanket, and listened for their footsteps as carefully as I could. All the while, I heard their footsteps coming closer and closer. Since the footsteps are coming straight towards me, they must already know where I am, I think. It's scary, but there's no way they already know where I am. If they did, they wouldn't have wasted their time looking for me around the office building, and they wouldn't walk as slowly as they did. It's just a coincidence that they're walking in this direction. Since I'm hiding under the blanket, I can't see who they are. I don't know where they're shining their flashlights, so I can't stick my head out from the window to see who they are either. I just have to stay motionless like a rock until I sense they're gone. The odds that they walk up to the car. She pulls out the hatchet, thinking she has to defend herself, kills one of them, and then it's like Keiichi. Plus like a Sonozaki, like Kasai or something. They stopped when they came near my hideout. I could hear their conversation.
いいねえだろ。
ぐるっと回ってみるが。
Well,
そっちを見てくれ。
Maybe not then.
いいねえだろ。
We've heard this guy before. I'm not going to look too much into this, but that's interesting. I just assume it's a reused voice actor. I mean, it could be a consistent character. Like, intentionally, I don't know. I could tell by the sound of their footsteps that they went separate ways and that each of them is walking around the piles of trash separately. I made this hideout out of an abandoned car. I just redecorated it. So on the outside, it still looks like nothing other than an abandoned car. But once you look inside, you can instantly tell it's more than that. So if they look inside, I'm done for. It's obvious that they're looking for me. Are they a Sonozaki Corps attack unit? If they find me, I'll be killed for sure. I know all too well that this place is perfect for murdering people. Yeah, she's like, been there, done that. I killed 2 people here myself. If I can do it, it'll be no problem for them, because they're real professional killers. Even so, there's nothing I can do right now. I just have to pray that they'll leave here soon. At that time, I heard a slight beeping sound.
アツシです。感度良好。はい。
ゴグラ？
はい。了解です。
どうした？
竜宮レナはゴグラらしい。目撃情報があったそうだ。
I thought that was meant to throw off the police. So now is everyone getting thrown off? Or is this intentional, like they're pulling some of the Sonozakis and Gogura as a way to like really make the police believe it?
おいおい、お手上げだぜ。どうするんだよ。
とにかく是が非でもひっ捕まえて連れてこいって旦那の命令だ。たとえ行ったのが札幌だろうと博多だろうと追っかけるしかねえだろ。
無理だぜ。見つかるわけねえ。それでも探さなきゃなんねえのか。
旦那は竜宮レナの持つ高野美代のスクラップ帳ってのを欲しがってる。
Yo, wait!
あんだけの剣幕になるんだから相当のもんだろうぜ。
What? Is that actually why the, like... Wow. That's why Mion and Shion's father wants them to find Rena. Wow. So does this mean there are 3 factions now, basically? Maybe not, but it might mean that.
で、俺たちはどうするんだよ。
竜宮家前に貼り付けだけ残して、他は引き上げだそうだ。戻って麦茶でも飲もうぜ。
I heard their footsteps going further, and then I didn't hear them anymore. After a while, I heard the engine of their car starting. I finally got out from under the blanket and looked outside the window. Bro, I, like, actually fully... I don't know why, I just fully expected it to cut to a CG of them looking directly at us for some reason. The car made a U-turn and drove away. The sound of the engine faded away into the darkness. I heaved a sigh of relief. I scratched at all of my itchy mosquito bites, wiped the sticky sweat off my face and neck, and finally allowed myself to cough. I heard their conversation clearly. They're the pawns of the Sonozaki Corps, without a doubt. It matches with what Oishi told me, and they said something very important. They clearly said that they're after the scrapbooks. Up until now, I'd only assumed that they were chasing after me because I had Mio-san's scrapbooks. I could have forced myself to believe that it was just my assumption. But they said it loud and clear. We need to find Rena Ryugu. She has Mio Takano's scrapbooks. That's what they said. Now this is interesting. So the question is this for real? Or is this another like audio-visual hallucination type deal? Because we've seen instances of like people hearing things that didn't actually happen. Is she quite literally hearing what she needs to hear? I don't know, right? But the possibility that they actually are looking for the scrapbooks is interesting, right? Because she's only told 2 people about them, right? And those 2 people being Oishi and Keiichi, right? Keiichi could have told Mion, like, what's actually going on, and maybe she reported it to the family, and now this is what's happening. I don't know. We're just going to have to keep going. This is interesting, because I really want to see if that's the truth of the situation. Is this all delusion? They also said that they're keeping watch on my house. I'm not surprised. See, but that's real. That is actually true. So, like, if it's a delusion, then that's a crazy convenient delusion, right? Like it's crazy convenient that it actually has real information, too. So I'm like, I don't know. Is that reality? Is that actually why the Sonozaki dad is looking for her and wants her in the house? In the main house? That is interesting. We're just going to have to keep going, because now I'm wondering if there is some truth to the things in there. I don't know. That's exactly what I would do if I were them. I can't go back to my house anymore. It's out of the question. Well, she's talking about how she would do it if she was them, so again, it could be a delusion. I don't know. It's not impossible. But, in fact, they said something way more important than any of that. They said, Rena Ryugu was seen in Gogura. If I was in a normal situation, I'd probably think that somebody saw a look-alike, and I'd laugh out loud. But the situation is different now. Is she believing, I think she might be believing in doppelganger theory. Mio-san was dead, but she was at the festival. I'm here, but I was in Gogura. Mio-san wrote about it in her scrapbooks, and I didn't want to believe it. They're coming closer to me. And I don't mean the Sonozaki family. Something beyond common sense is about to happen. Should I fight or should I run? I don't even know what I should do. I feel like I'm rooted to the spot with fear. Am I about to be eaten? No. I don't want to be eaten alive. I want to run away if I can't win. If I can't run, I want to fight. I'm going to be happy. I know I am. I'm not going to sit pretty and let them get me. But the enemy Mio-san foretold of in the scrapbooks is coming closer to me, and it's starting to eat me up. I'm in the garbage dump, alone. If I disappeared right now without anybody knowing it, the person who was in Gogura would replace me and start living my life. Nobody would notice the change. My father wouldn't notice it. My friends wouldn't notice it. It would replace me without having anyone noticed it. Wait. Many people close to me might have been replaced already. That's right. The Sonozaki family is plotting bioterrorism. That's only part of what they are planning. Mice possessed by them don't get scared of cats. As a result, they don't run away. They'll be eaten by the cats, and they can move into the cats' bodies. Mice are only used by them for that purpose. It's not that they lose their fear of cats in order to help them achieve their purpose. The same thing goes with the Sonozaki family. They think they're doing things by their own will, but they're just helping them without realizing it. That's exactly how they've lived since long ago, being the parasite. We're nothing but a bunch of mice to them. Most mice are stupid. They don't even notice their existence. They help them to achieve their purpose, thinking they're living their lives by their own will. But very rarely a mouse with wits is born. This mouse notices that he's being used, and he also notices their existence. But nobody believes him, so it's not a big deal. He starts thinking that it was his mistake, and he gets swallowed by them. Eventually, he disappears. But even more rarely, a mouse appears from nowhere, notices their existence, and objectively proves it. That mouse was Mio-san. To them, this mouse was a rare and very dangerous existence. That's why they resorted to unbelievably bold and violent methods to try and eliminate that mouse when it appeared. But surprisingly, we knew about those measures. But the stupid mice don't believe it. They don't notice that they are forcing them to not believe it, and that they're helping them in the end. This is quite an analogy. They killed Mio-san. And they tried to replace her. But they made a mistake. We found the real corpse of Mio-san. That's why they failed to replace her. They'll try to kill me and replace me too. Or they'll replace my friends in order to get close to me. They'll look just like the real people, but they're totally different inside. They're an abnormal existence that's beyond our imagination. And this is why she's gonna kill Keiichi. Because he's a doppelganger. Or not a doppelganger, it's like, I guess like a clone being controlled by a parasite. I know they'll appear. No, they're already here. It appeared the day after Mio-san died, and it appeared in Gogura tonight. They'll keep coming. They're openly after me now. They'll keep coming, they'll keep coming. Right then I heard somebody coming down the slope. I concealed my presence again, and I looked at the direction where the footsteps were coming from. I could see one flashlight. It looked like there was only one person now. Who is it? This late at night. Its shadow is very small. I can tell it isn't an adult. I felt a chill running through my body. It shined the flashlight towards my hideout, and its footsteps were coming straight towards me. It's different from the other guys earlier. I can tell by the sound of the footsteps that it knows I'm hiding here for sure. No, it might just be a coincidence, must just be a coincidence. I should just conceal myself again. I can make it through this again. I made it through last time. I need to hide, I need to hide. I pulled the blanket over myself, made myself as small as possible, and kept telling myself that I was a stone. But the footsteps kept coming closer and closer, and it knocked on the door of my hideout. I opened my eyes wide. I broke out in a nervous sweat. Not wanting to believe that the sound I heard was a knock, my mind went completely blank. But it knocked on the door again. This is about to be really, really bad. Like, top 5 bad moments in Higurashi. I could feel a light shining on the blanket. It might be shining the flashlight on me, but I still held back my fear. As long as I don't move, it can't put a finger on me. I kept telling myself that as if I was casting a spell. I tried not to shake in fear. Wait, what? It laughed. It has laughed at me because I thought I was still hiding perfectly. Okay, she's got to just be hearing that, right? But I still tried, because if I got out of the blanket... Wait, is this Rika? Is this Rika? Is this Rika? I threw off the blanket and saw the owner of the voice. It is Rika-chan. So it is. Oh, shoot. Now this is a turn of events. It makes sense that she would also know where the hideout is. And she might have an idea what's going on. But I don't know. And this is still one of the things I don't know. What are Rika's goals here? What, like, in reality, what is Rika trying to do in the grand scheme of the plot? I think she's trying to help her and her friends survive. That's my understanding. So maybe she realizes what's going on? I'm really intrigued to see what she does here. Now, why is she here? Why did she come here to see me? I don't understand why she came all the way here alone this late at night. I realized all of a sudden, she looks just like Rika-chan on the outside. She's not her. It is just copying her appearance. It came to Mio-san, to me, and to Rika-chan. I mean, she could very well have like a syringe or something. Did I say it? Or Rika? She might have a syringe here to cure what's going on. Because she's probably figured out what's going on. I decided to talk aggressively on purpose in order to work up courage before my fear crushed me down.
Rika-chan, kana?
It answers just like the Rika-chan I know. But I know it's not Rika-chan. Rika-chan wouldn't come to a place like this so late at night.
わかるよ。Rika-chan じゃないんでしょ。ごあいにくだけど、私の目はごまかせないよ。
Are we about to get a crazy Rika lore drop when she's like, "You're right"? Or is she gonna be like, "What are you talking about? It's me, Rika. I'm trying to help you."
外見がリカちゃんであっても、あんたはリカちゃんじゃない。私の友達のフルでリカじゃない。何者？
Rika looked stunned for a while. She looked as if she didn't understand what I was talking about. But she pretended like that for far too long. If she really didn't know what I was talking about, she wouldn't be able to stand the silence for this long. But she kept quiet, and she finally showed her true character. It laughed. It laughed at me because I figured out something that was almost impossible to figure out, that it was not Rika.
あんた、誰？
It didn't answer my question. It kept laughing for a while. And then it looked straight into my eyes in a way Rika-chan never did before. And it said this.
私もこの世に生きて長いけど、私をリカじゃないと見破ったやつは初めてよ。あなたは勘がいい人だと初対面から思ってたけど。
Okay, what the hell is going on? I think we're getting the Rika lore drop, like I said. I don't think Rena just had crazy intuition on that. She just was that paranoid. She clearly spoke to me the things that I was most afraid of. I was completely shocked. It's like she told me everything that could possibly scare me. I didn't want to hear any of this. It's something I can't possibly twist in a way I can comprehend.
でもあえてリカだと名乗っておくわ。私もリカを自分の呼び名だと思ってかなり長いしね。
Yeah, so I'm starting to wonder if, rather than being a reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, if Rika was just always Oyashiro-sama, right?
へえ。長いってどれくらいに？
大したことはないわ。ほんの100年程度よ。
Yeah.
はあ？何を言ってんのあんた？
I'm contradicting myself. I know the person who's standing in front of me isn't Rika, but at the same time I deny its existence. As long as humans hold this kind of emotion, they can never accept unknown existences. In other words, we can never accept them.
怯えなくていいわ。あなたは社内、私は社外。互いに相手に物騒なことをするのは簡単じゃない。お互いに都合のいい距離だと思うけど、私が何百年生きていようとも、フルでリカは所詮あなたに腕力で勝てると思ってないわ。むしろ逆上したあなたに飛びかかられないか不安なのはこっちの方なんだから。
True. Could you imagine if they weren't a kid, right? Like, with everything they know and are clearly capable of in terms, like, they're quite cunning, right? Like, I realized that this creepy thing that looks just like Rika was only here to talk to me. I felt my attention fade away a little bit. But still, I don't know what she wants to talk to me about at a place like this, so late at night. I'm like a fish on a cutting board. There's nothing I can do other than to wait and see what's going to happen. I waited for it to make a move for a while, and then it opens its mouth again.
あなたは何かに怯えている。それは正解。
It uses sarcasm. Rika-chan's cute face looked uglier than ever when it smiled. I held back my fear and tried to reply firmly.
ええ、おかげさまで。
そう、何に怯えているの？
あんたらが一番よくわかっているくせに。
It told me earlier that we were safe from each other because one was in the car and the other was standing outside. But it's obvious that I'm the one who's being driven into a corner. While I'm talking to it, I could be being surrounded by its minions. I got scared and tried to listen to the sounds of my surroundings carefully.
怖がらないで。私はあなたを助けに来たんだから。
I do believe that. Despite how poorly you come off, like, how terribly of a job you're doing at making it seem like that is true.
助けに？へえ、どうやってかな？
Syringe.
あなたはね、ちょっとしたお薬で楽になるのよ。私はその薬を持ってきたと言ったら。
薬？
It put its hand in its pocket and took out a small case. It opened the case and showed me what was inside. What was in there made me gasp in surprise. Syringe.
注射器？
Yeah. It's not normal for a person to carry around a syringe. I have no idea what's going on, but what Rika-chan is holding in her hand is a syringe. There's no way I can twist that fact around.
そう、あなたを楽にしてくれる注射よ。
楽になれるって？私には分かってる。富武さんを殺した薬物の正体は原子の力を持った寄生虫。宇脇病を再現させる恐ろしい注射。
Okay, she's saying this all to Rika. Rika, I need you to drop some lore here. You might be the new goat if you drop me some lore, I'm just saying.
富武の注射はね。でもこれは違うわよ。
That is the route we're going here.
本当よ。
It giggled. So it was a different drug the whole time. How was I supposed to guess that? It isn't the giggling that scares me. I'm scared that it admitted the cause of Tomatake's death so easily. And it also admitted the direct cause of the Maga disease that Tomatake-san died from.
私にもあの死に方をさせるつもりなんでしょ。そしてゴグラに現れたレナが私に入れ替わって一件落着。そういう魂胆なんでしょ。誰がそんな注射をするもんか。
まあ嫌がるとは思った。明らかに怪しいしね。
分かってるじゃないの。ならどうするの？富武さんみたいに集団で襲って無理やり注射でもするの？
Tomatake-san's autopsy report said that a bruise on his body that proved he was fighting against several people right before he died. That means they must have ganged up on him to give him the shot against his own will.
無理に襲って注射したいけど、あまりうまくいった試しはないわね。
That's true. She's been there, done that, and she's gotten cooked as a result. Chapter 2/5 is all you need to see.
だから無理やりってのはもう諦めてるわ。だからあなたの自由意志に任せることにする。
ふざけないで。そんな薄気味悪い注射誰が使うものか。
私もそのあたりは悩んだわ。どうなだめすかせば強引にも無理だし理解も得られないし、なら結局私はあなたの判断に任せるほかないってこと。
Literally, imagine how much simpler the solution to this story would have been if Rika wasn't in the body of someone so young, right? Or like, whatever is going on with Rika. Basically, imagine if Rika was just older and could just use force.
そんなのは聞くまでもない。誰がそんな見えすいた罠にかかるか。
まあ想定通りの反応よ。どうせ期待してなかったし。
It heaved a sigh, made a gesture as if it is mocking me, and smiled bitterly. It looked as if it was saying that I'm a lower animal that can't understand it's being given a chance for salvation. That is quite literally true. I kind of want to say I'll take the shot on a dare, but I know that's exactly what it is intending to do.
とっとと帰ってお前の仲間に注射には失敗したと伝えるがいい。私は負けない。最後まで徹底的に抗ってやる。そして 1% にも満たないかもしれない勝機をつかんで必ずや貴様らを打ち滅ぼしてやるから。
そうならばせいぜい頑張りなさいな。どうせもうすぐ滅ぶ世界だしね。
You're really not helping her delusions here, Rika. I understand what you're saying, like I do, but you're really not helping.
滅ぶ？
あなたには関係のないことよ。井戸の中のカエルが井戸の外なんかに興味を持っても仕方ないでしょ。
Yeah, based on lines like this, it's exceedingly obvious that some of those monologues that we saw in the past were Rika. I mean, it was already pretty obvious, but lines like that, like, come on. I feel like we might have seen that exact analogy before. At this stage of the game, it said something very dubious. I tried hard to understand what this horrifying creature was trying to say.
私をこれからどうするつもりなの？
私はどうもしないわ。好きにすればいい。
It's almost too easy. As far as I know, do whatever you want means ignorance or release when your enemy says it to you. At the very least, it isn't a bad thing. Or does it have another meaning? In that way, I overinterpreted the meaning of the sentence, but then it said it again.
あなたの好きなように過ごせばいい。この竜宮レナにはもう興味ない。次の竜宮レナとうまくやれるようにするわ。
Goodness, man. This is an insane sequence from Rika, and this is one of the things that I've wanted to see, man.
せめて次の竜宮レナは変に勘が良くないことを祈るだけよ。
Honestly, it wasn't even intuition, it was just paranoia. I was scared of it, like I'd be scared of a judge handing down a death sentence.
私も昔は 小さな狂いが生じるたびに直そうと奔走したものだけど、途中からね、このひなみ沢にもう興味ない。次のひなみ沢を探しに行くことにするわ。
Yeah, it's sounding to me like they're confirming exactly what I thought about it being kind of like time looping or different universes, whatever, right? Like, I mean, like, I'm still gonna assume time looping, but like, that's exactly what it sounds like Rika is confirming, is she's like the omnipotent force that is there for all of them.
でも、あなたにはこのひなみ沢しかない。だから、せいぜい頑張っていきなさいな。
It was telling me scary things one after the other. This was obviously a warning of Hinamizawa's destruction. It means the climax is coming soon. They have already prepared another Rena. When I lose to this fate, they are going to replace me with that Rena as if nothing happened. They're very well organized. What humans are most afraid of is for their lives to lose all value. Your life becomes worthless when you're told that you have a replacement. It's like an indirect death sentence. It closed the syringe case and put it back into its pocket. It turned around and started climbing up the slope. At the top, it looked back and spoke without as much as an evil smile.
じゃあね、さよなら。この竜宮レナ。次の竜宮レナでは仲良くしてね。ほとんどの場合は仲良くできてるんだから。
Usually.
次の竜宮レナなど許すものか。私は私だ。たった一人だ。お前らの思い通りにはならない。
There's no letting her do it.
絶対に。
I wondered if my scream was reaching it. It looked at me coldly. It looked at me as if I was just an image of the past on a TV screen.
たまにはこういう会話も面白いか。
Goodness. Bro. That laughter gradually disappeared into the darkness. It disappeared into the darkness as well. I was the only one left there. I'm forsaken, and they don't care if I disappear. They told me I should struggle as much as I want because it doesn't matter anyway. They already have a replacement. They don't need me in their Hinamizawa anymore because my intuition is too sharp. When I realized that, I noticed that this garbage dump is a perfect grave for me. Then I realized that this place wouldn't work as a hideout anymore. I'd better start packing and move somewhere else. It told me to struggle as much as I want. I'm gonna do just that, damn it! Damn it! I have to get ready to move out from here. I'm gonna put everything back into my backpack. I have to leave here as soon as possible. The light of the flashlight wasn't enough to see by, so I turned the table lamp on. The light made things show up very clearly. When I reached my backpack, I realized something and gasped in surprise. The palm of my hand was covered with an eerie liquid. I thought I'd wiped off my sticky sweat earlier, but it wasn't my sweat. Where did this blood come from? What? Is she already clawing her throat out? Yep. That's exactly what's happening, I think. I realized it right away. I was scratching the mosquito bites on my neck earlier, and I scratched them until it bled. When I noticed that, I remembered the sensation, the mixture of pain and itchiness. I felt something moving near the wound on my neck, so I scratched it again to get rid of whatever it was. My hand got sticky and wet with blood again. I can't see what the things are because I don't have a mirror, but I know. They're already spreading throughout my entire body, causing the itchiness on my arms and the back of my knees. If I'd never experienced this before, I'd think I got bitten by a bad bug or something. But unfortunately, I already know what's causing this itchiness.
なんで？どうして？
I said it with hatred. Why now? Why here? It's the maggot disease, without a doubt. If I cut the veins on my arms, the dusky red gross things would flow out. But it's impossible. I didn't get any suspicious shots. But it doesn't have to be a shot. They might have put the drug in my food, and I might have eaten it without noticing. I don't think they put it in the food in my house, but I used to share lunch with my friends at school. They might have put it in the lunches. That Rika who visited me just earlier was shining the flashlight on me, so she knew that I was scratching my neck so hard it bled. Nevertheless, she acted like there was nothing wrong, and she told me that I wouldn't last long. Now I know why she was laughing at me in a sarcastic way. She knew that I wouldn't have much time left. It itches very badly, but I can't scratch. The more I scratch, the itchier it gets. And I'm not going to do the same thing Tomatake-san did. Damn it, damn it, damn it! The itchiness might not be temporary. It might actually get worse. I don't know if it's going to stop soon or if it's going to last until I die from it. I don't know anything anymore. I just have to endure the itchiness. I wiped the blood on my neck with a towel, clenched my teeth, and tried to erase the desire to scratch my neck. The wound was throbbing. I wanted to scratch it so badly, but I couldn't do that. I fought back the desire, biting the end of the towel. I scratched other parts of my body really hard in order to forget about the itchiness on my neck, but it didn't really work. I just prayed for the itchiness to go away, closed my eyes, and fought back the desire. That seemed to be the best way. I let my mind go blank, breathing hard for a while. I felt like the itchiness got a little bit better. I took a deep breath and I immediately started panicking. Staying here is more dangerous than the itchiness. I have to leave here as soon as possible. You need to go find Rika. I feel like at this point you have to realize that's your best chance, right? Surely. I felt it while packing my stuff. I felt the end coming closer. The end that Rika told me about earlier. I assumed I could live until the end, but I might have been wrong. I might follow the same path Tomatake-san took, way before the end comes. I was sweating like crazy and it felt so nasty. The ringing phone in the background is... I don't know. I like that. But, let's go on. I know it's not sweat, but I'm gonna think that it's sweat for now. I wiped my neck with a towel and hurried to leave. Oh shit. It's getting real. It's getting really real. Okay. We're going to Keiichi. Let's see what exactly happens here. That was such an interesting scene. Before too long, I'll talk about it a little bit. That is exactly the type of scene I've wanted to see for a while. Something that makes it a little more clear what's going on with Rika, right? So, the very first thing that I have to say is Rika is... I don't know how to put this. The reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama thing might just be accurate, right? For as much as I think I briefly said, like, nah, maybe she's literally just Oyashiro-sama, that's what a reincarnation is, right? It was more like, I guess at the moment I was like, maybe she was the whole time. I've only had this form for 100 years, but if she was reincarnated, right, that would explain that pretty well. Either way, I don't know that ultimately it matters. I think there's a very good chance she is Oyashiro-sama, right? And she has spent 100 years now searching for a timeline where things don't go crazy in this year, right? She spent 100 years as Rika, and like I said, she's kind of looping to find the right timeline, and this is basically exactly what I expected, to be honest, like, more or less. The only thing that I'm still not certain, or that I wasn't really certain of, was the what is initiating the time loops, and I'm still not sure of that, because the thing is, I'm like, if she is doing it, why would there be a timeline where she is dead, right? That doesn't make sense, right? Now, actually, do things make more sense now? Is it just her the whole time? Because what I'm thinking is, we've seen Rika in some of the tips talking to another character, right? I can't view tips from here. And we're in the middle of something important, so I don't want to sit here for too long theorizing, but we've seen Rika talking to another person that I was kind of under the impression was her. For some reason, I feel like I remember me thinking it could have been like a family member or a sister, right? Specifically, right? And I'm like, what if it was just a mistaken identity thing and Rika's not dead in chapter 3? And that's how the loop keeps going. So maybe it's possible. Maybe it is possible that it's just been Rika this whole time. Anyways, we're going to move on for now, but like from that at least, right? But point is, right, a lot of those ideas that I had about Rika seem to be true, right? And we're getting more and more evidence of that. Rika is this kind of ancient being, right, that is in the body of a young girl, right? Presumably because time keeps looping, so she can't really age out of it. And so that's like the setup here, and that's just good to know. That's very important for the overarching story that we're finally beginning to see this. It's really interesting to see how she's kind of grown a little apathetic. She's lived so many loops, it seems, that she's like, I'm not doing this by force anymore. Eventually, I'll find the one that takes the drug. I don't need to fix all the little things. Just when things go really crazy, I'll do what I can, but I'm not getting myself violently killed again, I guess, right? Is what it seems like she's saying, right? You can take this of your own volition, or this world can be doomed. Do as you will. I don't care. I'll be fine, right? That's what it seems like, because to her, there's always the next Hinamizawa, there's always the next Rena, right? The next everyone, right? And so that's interesting. Definitely more apathetic than I would have maybe expected, but I guess if you've lived 100 years, like in this scenario, like meaning you've presumably lived this scenario 25 times or so at this point. Well, I guess 20, because this is the 5th year. You've lived this scenario 20 times at this point. I don't blame her, right? Like, can you blame her? I can't. Just interesting to see the side of her. I'm looking forward to seeing more Rika. The more we learn about Rika, the more she interests me. You know, the more she kind of shoots up the rankings, right? Before we started to really know a lot about her, like at the end of chapter 3, I don't know if it's crazy to say she was possibly not even in my top 5 characters in the game. I don't have streamer mode on. Whoops. Let me turn that on. No more pings. We're in the middle of recording a video, bro. But point is, shoot, what was I saying? I actually kind of lost my train of thought. More or less, I was talking about, like, okay, I was saying that she was borderline, like, not even a top 5 character for me, and she's definitely starting to get really high up in those rankings now. I'm not going to sit here and do a whole rankings thing. We're in the middle of a dramatic scene, and we're going to move on now that I've talked about how happy I am to see the side of Rika, right? And to finally start to get some more of these insights into what's really going on. A lot of these are insights that we kind of already had, but and like the way we've seen her act, specifically in chapter 5, basically confirmed my suspicions. But now she is like all but said it, right? She's all but said it. Actually, she literally did say it. She just didn't like she just didn't say in detail what she means by she's been in this body for 100 years, or there's always the next Hinamizawa. We can guess what that means, but I mean, it's not like she told Rena specifically, yes, I am time looping, there will be another Hinamizawa, and I will go through these 5 years again, and there will be another Rena Ryugu who I will attempt to get along with. Yeah, well, she didn't say all this, right? But like, she basically said it all, right? I'm liking this side of Rika a lot. I liked who she was before, but there wasn't really much depth to her, right? She was just that fun little character who hit the nipa and did head pats, right? That was her character, right? Like, you know, but there's always been that depth that's been waiting to show, and we're starting to see it. I'm very excited about that. So let's move on from Keiichi's perspective, see if he runs into Rena, who is lost her cool and would probably kill him if they crossed each other. This area has no streetlight, so I was scared to run fast when I could barely see. The moon lit up the sky, but not my steps. The only light I had to see by was my flashlight. The light was very weak. All I could do was see the flat gravel road before me, and anything the flashlight couldn't reach was in total darkness. The expression often used in novels, pitch black, wouldn't be inappropriate. I might trip over an empty can or a rock any time. Not wanting to fall, I used the flashlight to its maximum extent to watch my step, but I was still a bit nervous. I started running slower and slower until I was just walking briskly. Did I just stop running because I'm afraid of tripping in the dark? But I usually run around without watching my step during the day. I run around with Rena and Mion all the time. Even if I can see what's underfoot, I don't pay it any attention. I don't think I might trip. I just keep running around without a care. Rena might be feeling the same way I am right now. For Rena, the light with which she illuminates the darkness of suspicion is too weak. And the darkness of the delusion she deeply believes in is getting darker and darker. That's why she's scared to even walk on the same roads she always used to take. Honestly, given the last two things she just saw, I kind of don't blame her for being this delusional at this point. Right? The Rika thing and the Sonozaki gangsters who straight up, or I don't know, like she heard them say that, she heard them say they're looking for the scrapbooks. She fell for the contents of those ridiculous scrapbooks. People might laugh at her for that, but those scrapbooks aren't normal. They manipulate their readers' hearts and, with evil intent, take advantage of their vulnerabilities. Yes, that is something I genuinely believe about Takano, by the way. That evil intent captured my heart for one night. That's why I know how evil they are. They're just urban legends like the prophecies of Nostradamus or the Purple Mirror. They're a bunch of feasible lies, and when you hear about them at first, you think they're too stupid to believe. But once you fall for them, it's hard to get them out of your mind for some reason. It'll be the year 1999 in less than 20 years. Everybody knows about the prophecy that the world will come to an end in July of 1999. There are even some TV shows about it too, which irresponsibly fan people's fears, so some people take it seriously. Those people think that the prophecy means the outbreak of nuclear war, so some of them are making shelters in their backyards. Some of them are thinking about freezing themselves by 1999 so that they won't be exposed to radiation, only waking up after it's gone. Those people are completely serious about it. But when you think about it rationally, it's impossible that there will be an outbreak of nuclear war in 1999. It's true that the Cold War makes us think that the final war will break out any time, but both powers are actually pointing their nuclear missiles at each other, and they know there's nothing to gain for either of them to start a nuclear war. The Soviets might still do it. The Soviets would destroy the world if it meant eradicating liberalism. By that delusion that the Soviets might do it could be neatly swapped for the way Takano-san uses the Sonozaki family in her scrapbooks. When people create a large-scale delusion like the prophecies above, they always use an incomprehensibly unknown enemy such as the Soviet Union, Nazi Germany, or aliens. And they say something like, you never know, they might do things like that, to try and increase the credibility of their delusions without any evidence whatsoever. What did Takano-san know about the Sonozaki family? Nothing. All she did was use the history of Onigafuchi and say that the Sonozaki family is still working behind the scenes, plotting a horrifying conspiracy. It's just like one of those large-scale prophecies. It's nothing but just a stupid story like that one about Nazi Germany, which says that Hitler is still alive and lives in an underground complex somewhere on the South Pole, continuing his plot to conquer the world. Rena usually doesn't believe in stupid stories like that, but it was just bad timing, I suppose. It was right after she killed Rina Mamiya and Teppei Hojo. It was caught by us. She was in a state of panic when she heard the story. We were waiting for her to recover from the shock, but before she did and regained her strength of heart, a poison got into her and spread all throughout her body. When you're sick and have a weakened immune system, it's easy to get another disease. It's just like that. That's it. Rena's just sick right now. When you're very sick in bed with a high fever, you sometimes feel like you might die from it, but most of the time you're just overreacting. You get better soon after you take a medicine, eat healthy food, and sleep a lot. That's how she is right now. She got a mental cold, that's all. She needs to get better soon, or she might get caught by the police. Yeah, it's interesting hearing this from someone who has gotten affected by this on at least 2 occasions. Very possibly 3. I passed several patrol cars on my way. I hit every time I saw one, since I didn't want to be questioned. I was probably passed by them twice. When I came close to Rena's house, I saw a car parked near the gate. It was obviously watching her house, trying to capture her when she'd arrive home. Mion ordered the Sonozaki family to find Rena to protect her from the police, but honestly, I'm not sure if they can. After all, Rena believes that the Sonozaki family is after her. But if they don't find her, the police will eventually. If that happened, all of us who helped her bury the corpses will be caught by the police in the end. I don't know how or why the police came to suspect her. I think they have only some circumstantial evidence. I don't think they know she did it for sure. But since they're looking everywhere else for her now, they must have some kind of reliable evidence. Not really. Not really. I can see why he'd think that, though. Rena, come on. You don't have time to play around with Takano-san's scrapbooks right now. The police are after you. It was so dark that I couldn't be sure if she was down there, but I made up my mind and headed down the slope, carefully shining my flashlight to light my way. I wanted to loudly call out Rena's name, but there might be some policemen nearby looking for her. I walked around a trash pile, and then I saw a light. It was Rena. I ran towards her hideout, kicking aside the trash in my way. Oh yeah, you're dead, bro. You are so dead. Yikes. Yeah, I expected the eyes. I definitely expected the eyes. Been waiting on those. Rena was standing right in front of her hideout, holding a hatchet. I couldn't blame her. She must have noticed all the noise I'd made coming down the slope. She's not gonna believe that you're Keiichi, bro. You're
Rena,
dead.
俺だ。
今度は圭一くん。今夜はいろんな人が来る夜だね。
俺以外にも誰かいるのか？
I shone my flashlight around, but I didn't see anybody else.
この場所はもう安全じゃないんで、今圭一くんにも知られたくないから、ついてこないで。
レナ、お前どうしたんだよ。血だらけじゃないか。
もう落ち着いたから大丈夫だよ。
The eyes are
も
gone.
っとも、いつぶり返すかわからないけどね。
Rena's neck was all red. It looked like he had some kind of skin disease on her neck. She probably couldn't bear the itchiness and scratched at it really hard.
タオルで拭いただけじゃダメだろ。とりあえず家へ来いよ。ちゃんと消毒した方がいいぞ。
傷口は大したことないよ。それに、これは傷によるものじゃない。もう手遅れだし。
手遅れ？どういうことだよ。
富武さんを死に導いた何かを、私もいつの間にか服毒させられてるみたいなの。注射なんて物騒な方法じゃない。多分それは弁当のおかずに混ぜられてたの。
To ignore the fact that everyone would have been affected by that, but
覚えてる？先日みーちゃんが卵焼きを一人一個ずつ分けてくれたよね。あの時にやられたんだと思う。遅効性なところがうまいよね。くそ。
Rena kicked the dirt with hatred. She was almost literally kicking Mion's goodwill to the curb.
おいレナ、お前本気でミオンがそんなことすると思ってるのか？
Bro's so dead. Rena looked stunned and she stared straight at me. I noticed a slight accusation in her eyes. I can tell by looking into her eyes that she wants to say, "What are you talking about? I already told you that the Sonozaki family is the mastermind behind the conspiracy."
第一よ、あの日の卵焼き、ミオンは一人に一つずつなんか分けてないだろ。
That might not help the case here. Mion cut her omelet into 5 pieces and she told us to take one if we wanted. Rena took the end piece of the omelet before anyone else took one. She said it looked cute and ate it right there.
違うよ。みーちゃんは毒が入ってた卵焼きを私にわざと食べさせようとしたんだよ。
レナ、都合よく記憶を書き換えるなよ。タッパーの蓋の上にこうちょんちょんと5つ並べたんじゃないか。
並べてないよ。一人に一つずつ配った。
そんなこと今までにあったか？俺たちは互いの弁当箱を好きにつつくバイキング形式だぜ。
Right?
これは誰の分なんてお上品に分けっこしたことなんて一度もねえじゃねえか。
She looked at me with that accusation in her eyes. To Rena, everything that comes out of my mouth must sound like a lie. To her, it's a fact that she was poisoned. She knows for sure that the drug was in the omelet. That's why she's contradicting me, because I'm saying something different. I didn't come here to make her mad. I realized that disagreeing would only escalate her anger, so I decided not to.
それよりさ、ここはもう安全な場所じゃないって。どこへ行くつもりだよ。
さあね、適当に探すよ。
寝るところなんてそうそう見つからねえだろ。俺の家に来いよ。
ありがたいけど辞退するね。園崎家の手先が村中を探し回ってる。圭一くんが裏切って私を売るとは思いたくないけど。
園崎家の手先が探し回ってるってのは警察がレナを探し回ってるんだ。
なんで？大石さんは味方だし、私のことは放っておくように言ってある。私を探すなんてありえないよ。
Oh, he definitely is.
多分リナと鉄平を殺したことがどこかで漏れたんじゃないかと思う。
ああ、そういうことか。
I was relieved that we were finally on the same page, but I realized I was wrong right away when she laughed in self-derision.
どうして警察があの殺しのことを感づいたかわかる？
いや、わかるわけないだろう。
Nobody saw her killing them. Nobody saw us burying the corpses. We buried them deep in the mountains and we camouflaged the spot perfectly. Plus, Mian moved them to a secret place afterwards. So it's impossible that the corpses would be found, and we're getting more of her
今
delusions.
日の夕方ね、私、あの二人の死体を埋めた場所に戻ったの。そしたら、
That didn't sound good. Of course. Rena has no idea that Mion took care of the corpses. She'd think the corpses were still buried there.
なかったの。死体が。誰かが掘り返して死体を持ち去った。
いや、レナ、それは、
あんな場所、誰かが偶然掘り返すわけもない。それに、あの場所は私が決めた。
The moment he says that Mion and the Sonozakis did it, she's gonna be like, yep,
だ
exactly.
からあの場所に埋まっていることは、あの場に居合わせた人間しか知らない。
そうだ。だからそれは。
誰がやったかは分かってる。みーちゃんだよ。私が警察と結託することがないよう、保険が欲しかったに違いない。その崎家に探させるだけじゃなく、連中もなりふり構ってられないってことか。
ミオンがそんなことするわけねえだろ。
したんだよ。みーちゃんが私を撃った。
いや、しねえな。ミオンも俺たちもみんな仲間だぞ。たとえ世界が全部敵になったとしたって仲間は最後まで味方なんだ。だからミオンがレナを売ることなんて、海水が全部蒸発するような天変地異があったって絶対にありえない。
There's no reasoning with her at this point, man.
みーちゃんの肩をどうして持つの？
逆だろ。なんでミオンをそこまで疑うんだよ。
そんなのは決まってるでしょ。ミオさんの暴いた致命的な事実は狂信者たちの偉大な計画の実現。
黙れ黙れ。ちょっと言葉がきつかったな。
Yikes.
いいか、あの死体がなくなっていたのは確かにミオンが掘り返したからだ。
やっぱりそうじゃない。
終わりまで聞けよ。いいか、ミオンが死体を掘り返したのはあの埋めた場所が安全じゃないことが分かったからなんだ。営林署がこの夏あの辺り一帯を伐採するって計画を立ててたことが後に分かったんだよ。
She's not gonna care, bro. She's not gonna believe this.
だからミオンは
I want to believe that we're gonna somehow get to Rena and like bring her back to rationality, but I don't think we will.
レナを守るために死体を掘り返してくれたんだよ。
Rena laughed at me like I was stupid or something. I could tell she didn't understand anything I was saying.
そんなのみーちゃんの口から出まかせに決まってるでしょ。ケイイチくんの前ではいい子ぶりたいあの子の汚いやり方だって。
Dang, Rena! Wow!
あのな、じゃあどうすりゃよかったんだよ。今年の夏に営林署が見つけちまうかもしれないと知ってて放置しとくのかよ。そんなことできるわけねえだろ。
その営林署の伐採計画というのがそもそもみーちゃんの作り話だって、
Yeah.
どうしてわからないのかな。
I'm gonna say there is no reasoning with Rena at this point.
わからねえのはレナの方だろ。
After I yelled at her, she gave me an icy look. She stared into my eyes, as if trying to find out what I came here for.
俺はレナの目を覚ましに来たんだ。お前は高野さんのスクラップ帳のせいでとんでもない狂った夢に取りつかれてる。最初のうちは面白い話だと思ってたが、そろそろシャレにならないと思い始めた。お前は今ちょっとした病気なんだよ。
ああ、理科もどきにも病気だって言われたっけね。
Yeah, that's not gonna help.
確かに氏脇病はもう始まってるし。
ああ、もう違うんだ違うんだ。とにかく俺の話を聞け。しばらくの間横になってじっくりと休まねえか。本当はミオンの家にかくまってもらった方が安全なんだ。
Now she thinks you're an enemy, and I think you're about to die.
警察からもかくまえるしな。
Jesus.
でもそれでもミオンが信用できないってんなら俺の家でもいい。とにかくこんな休めない場所で縮こまってだって心にいいわけがないんだ。まずは俺の家に行こう。そして冷たい飲み物でも飲みながらちょいと熱を冷ましてみないか。そうすりゃレナもすぐに気づくさ。
何を言ってるのケイイチくん。私がおかしくなってるって言いたいの？
That is exactly what he's saying.
おかしいのはお前たちの方なんだ。お前たちは寄生虫に乗っ取られて知らず知らずのうちに奴らに操られているだけ。
Is this where she kills him?
ケイイチくんも傍観者のつもりでいるけど、
I really think
実は被害者の一人なんだよ。
if Keiichi gets out of this alive, I'd be shocked.
それに気づけないのが、それを私は責めない。私がきっとケイイチくんたちを救ってあげるから。 今は私を信じていて。
おかしいのはお前たちの方って。じゃあレナは村が丸ごとおかしくて自分だけが正しいっていうのかよ。
Yeah.
ひなみ沢だけじゃないかもしれないね。もはや奴らの魔種は獅子骨市全域、あるいは県内全域にまで及んでいるかもしれない。
She's too far gone, man.
でも私だけは正しいの。ミオさんのスクラップのおかげでそれに気づけた。ケイチ君だって気づけたんじゃなかったっけ？
待てよレナ、自分以外世界中が全ておかしいって。それおかしいのは自分だけなんだよ。世界は最初から何も変わってねえし、おかしくもなんともない。ましてやレナの敵でもなんでもない。自分だけが正しくて世界が全部敵なんてことはありえないんだよ。
That's valid.
それはつまり自分だけが敵ってことなんだよ。
And she's not gonna take this one.
かわいそうなケイチ君。
Yeah.
でも仕方がないよ。ミオさんの真実は誰もが受け入れられるものではない。
She's way, way, way too far gone. I know I keep saying it, but we just keep circling around to it like...
ミオさん自身、この内容が本当に真実か、まだ測りかねていた節があったしね。だからケイチ君が受け入れられないことを私は理解できる。だから、そんなケイチ君を救うために私は頑張るよ。頑張って戦って、必ずケイチ君たちを支配している奴らをやっつけてやるから。
Oh, maybe she's not gonna kill him. Rena, that's stupid. That's just idiotic. You feel sorry for me? You're stupid. Why don't you understand? Why do you still believe a crazy, stupid story like this? You're just interpreting everything to suit your convenience.
ミオさんもリカちゃんも。そして、私が消されるのと同時に入れ替わることになっている。
はぁ？スペア？お前、本気で何を言ってるんだ？
もういいや。ケイチ君には真実を教えてあげよう。私がケイチ君に話してない。実はね、寄生虫の正体は宇宙人なの。
Right. It's aliens.
宇宙人？
うん。お社様の正体ももちろん宇宙人。天から降臨する際の描写は世界各地に散らばる宇宙人説と合致するの。偉大な文明が起こるとき、偉人は必ず宇宙から現れる。
Jesus Christ.
彼らは宇宙から優れた英知を持って地球を訪れ、いつまでも未熟な地球人類の進化を促そうと。
Hey, wait just a minute. You must be kidding, right, Rena? The parasite theory was interesting, but aliens? Come on, that's just nonsense. But Rena believes this theory so seriously, and she feels sorry for me because I can't accept it.
奴らは人体規制を通じてコミュニティを支配してきた。だが時折勘のいい人間が生まれ、その支配の実態を暴こうとした。彼らはそれを取り除き、コミュニティを維持するために様々な拉致を行ったの。そして時には金属片を埋め込みそのコントロールを得たり、あるいは外見だけを共有した別の存在と入れ替えることによって支配を続け。
Bro, these theories keep getting more ridiculous.
そいつらはミオさんのコピーを生み、私のコピーを生んだ。
Admittedly, after hearing about the whole Takano being already dead thing, I don't know how I would have reacted to that. It might have, we might have gotten full conspiracy like this.
リカちゃんのコピーもさっき来たんだよ。そいつと話をしてみた。そいつは宇宙から来た存在であることを認めたよ。
They did not say that.
そして破滅の日が近いことを
They
告
did
白
say
し、
that.
私にあがけるものならあがけと嘲笑った。
They did say that.
私は戦うよ。人類を奴らの家畜になどしてたまるか。私は絶対に絶対に。
You're so stupid. I stepped towards Rena, I just said Rena, and slapped her in the face. I was hoping it would return her to sanity.
目を覚ませレナ、もう忘れたか。まさにこの場所だ。それも ほんの数日前だ。俺たち仲間たちはこの場所で、そして仲間は家族同然だって認め合ったよな。
Rena played with her wrist. She didn't interrupt, so I continued.
お前の言う宇宙人が地球を侵略してるって話を、たとえ世界中が信じなくても俺は信じてやる。俺はお前の仲間で一番最初の味方だからだ。でもならお前も聞いてくれ。仲間で味方の俺の言葉を聞いてくれ。あの高野さんのスクラップ帳はでっち上げのインチキなんだよ。本当さ、高野さんはオカルトマニアなんだ。ひなみ沢の古い歴史をいろいろに解釈して遊んで、陳説を書き上げては人に読ませて回ってるだけなんだ。だから寄生虫がどうのこうのという説以外にも UFO がどうこうとか地底人がどうこうなんていうとんでもないのまでたくさんあるんだ。
Getting that music again.
だからレナが読んだスクラップ帳は高野さん自慢の最新作でしかないんだよ。ほら、あの人って人をからかうみたいなところがあるだろう。レナが真面目に話を聞いてくれるもんだから、面白がってとんでもない話を吹き込んだだけなんだよ。
単なる創作なら、ミオさんはどうして殺されたの？しかも検視結果では死後24時間のはずなのに、どうして祭りの夜に歩いていたの？
No, that's a valid question that we're not going to have an answer for.
富武さんの死因は？園崎家は？ひなみ沢の伝説は？お社様は？リカちゃんは？全部創作？世界中が私たちを騙すために嘘をついているって、そういうの？
何でもかんでも無理につなげて解釈するな。古代妄想の典型的な症例じゃねえかよ。とにかく難しく考えるな。レナはちょっと疲れてるだけなんだ。
No, he's correct. He's speaking facts, man.
だから少し休もう。俺はレナにくつろげる部屋と布団、食事を提供するだけだ。食事が信用できないなら自前で好きにしてくれたっていい。とにかく俺の言うことを今だけでいいから信じてほしいんだ。
Is he gonna get through to her?
私の言っている話の方が筋も通っているし、証拠も根拠もたくさんある。
Probably not.
なのに圭一君は自分を信じてくれの一点張り。どっちが正しいかなんて明白でしょ？
ああ、明白だな。俺が正しい。
よくそんなことを言い切れるね。
ああ、俺がレナの仲間だからだ。仲間は絶対に裏切らない。仲間を絶対に助ける。だから世界中が俺を正しくないと言っても、今だけは俺を信じろ。俺がお前の仲間だからなんだ。
I hope this works somehow. I heard a thud. Rena dropped the hatchet. She staggered, holding her head in her hands. She was muttering something, and it looked like she was asking herself questions. Is it working? He wants me to trust him, but he has no evidence to prove he's right. He's being absurd. Or maybe he's right and I'm wrong. Am I really just misunderstanding everything? It would be wonderful if that was true. I wished I was wrong so many times. I wished Mio-san's scrapbooks are nothing but a bunch of stories and the parasite doesn't exist. Some coincidences happened to connect together, and I interpreted them in the wrong way. I really wish that was the case. Don't give up, Renaryugu. Be cool, Renaryugu. This guy has poison in his words. He's trying to take advantage of my weakness. Everything is too obvious not to believe. It's obvious that the aliens have been trying to invade the Earth, use this village as their base ever since it was called Onigafuchi. Keiichi-kun is a victim who's been controlled by them. He's just a victim. But when he grabbed my wrist really hard on that day, I could tell his intentions were true. I still remember the strength of his grip on my wrist. He tried to save me, his friend. I got lost in this crazy delusional maze many times. I prayed over and over that somebody would help me. And now my prayers are answered, and Keiichi-kun is reaching for my hand again. But don't forget, Renaryugu. This guy says he's your friend, but he hasn't told you everything about himself. Don't you remember? Oishi-san told you about it. He told me about what he found out. I couldn't trust my friends, so Oishi checked on everybody, including Keiichi-kun. That's why I know about what he did before he moved here. He looks like he's a good guy on the outside, but he's crazy on the inside. I can't trust him. I shouldn't trust him. What did he do? Does he also have like a went crazy and had the memories covered up story, or is the backstory a lie? So what? I don't care who he was before he moved here. I did many bad things in Ibaraki, too. I did many unforgivable things. I hurt my friends really badly, broke the windows of the school, and was suspended. I was a very bad girl. Right, so, okay, so the backstory's not a lie. But then what was Keiichi's backstory? Did he treat me differently because of that? No, he didn't. Rena Ryugu is Rena Ryugu. He'll forgive me because it was Rena Ryugu who did all those bad things in Ibaraki. He won't forgive me. I should know better. Keiichi Maibara believes that I'm a kind and modest girl because he doesn't know Rena. If he found out about Rena, what would he do? He caught you with 2 corpses. I know she's not thinking rationally, but he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't be scared of me. Rena is Rena. Rena is a different girl. The same goes with Keiichi-kun. I don't care who he was before he moved here. We're even.
大丈夫か、レナ。
触るな。汚らわしい。
Rena knocked my hand aside when I reached for her.
さっきから聞いていれば仲間とやかましい。仲間だから信じろ？仲間だから世界中すべてより正しいだと？それこそ妄言じゃないか。
なんと言われたって俺はお前の仲間だ。だから絶対にお前のためになることを言っている。
It's looking like the irrational part of her is winning out.
疑うな。絶対に俺が正しい。
へえ、じゃあ聞いてもいい？
あ、何でも聞け。
仲間ってのは隠し事なんてないんだよね。
当然だ。隠し事なんかしない。
嘘だよ。
嘘なんかつかない。
Here we go.
嘘だ。
See, I saw it coming this time. They didn't get me.
何がおかしいよ。
圭一くん、隠し通せてるつもりなんだ。
What did bro do?
私、知ってるんだよ。圭一くんが引っ越してくる直前にどういうことしてたか。知ってるんだよ。
I felt as if my entire body was covered in frosty needles. My body and mind froze all of a sudden. I don't believe this. I don't believe this. How come she knows about that?
大石さんに調べてもらったんだよ。みんなのこと。そしたら圭一くん、引っ越しの前はとんでもない人だったんだよね。
What did bro do?
やめろ。あれは違うんだ。
ずいぶん悪いことしてたみたいだね。さとこちゃんとリカちゃんにも話しておかないとね。
What?
こんな危ない人が身近にいたなんて。
違う。それはたまたまなんだ。
児童連続襲撃事件。すごいすごい。ひなみ沢村連続開始事件に負けないくらいインパクトあるよ。
Keiichi, bro.
違うんだよ。あれは本当に。
何がどう違うの？数週間の間に人気のないところを歩く小さな子供ばかりを狙って通りがかりにモデルガンで撃ちつける恐ろしい事件だった。
Okay, that's not nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I mean, like, that's bad, but like...
市内一帯は一時期騒然。PTA が交差点ごとに立ち、集団下校にもなったんだってね。目に当たって大怪我した子もいたんでしょ。
That's pretty bad.
幸い、後遺症にはならなかったそうだけど。モデルガンなんて武器を持ちながら、それでも小さな子しか狙わないいやらしさ。
That is pretty bad, don't get me wrong, but it really made it seem like it was gonna be like so much worse than what it actually was.
そんなことして何が楽しかったの？でも、楽しかったからずっと続けてたんだよね。そのくせ、途中で両親の呵責に耐えられなくなって、ご両親と一緒に自首。責任取るのもご両親と一緒じゃないとダメなわけ？少年法って親切よね。被害者にも犯人の名前は公開されないし、お父さんが大金持ちだったから示談金をたくさん積んでくれたんだよね。
Probably.
それで大ごとにしない約束を取り付けて まったりとしばらくは保護観察。それでほとぼりが冷めた頃合いにお金に任せて遠方へ引っ越しして全部チャラ。いいねお金持ちは。
違うんだ、違うんだ。
そんなことどうして今まで黙ってたの？前の学校ではずっと勉強漬けだった？どうしてそんな嘘をつくの？
That is crazy that this has not come up once, even in his inner conscious.
ごめん、嘘ってわけじゃ。
仲間ってのは隠し事なんかなしでしょ？そうでしょ？じゃあお前は仲間じゃない。
Yikes. Some Keiichi backstory. Haven't really gotten much of that. It's interesting. I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, like, that's really messed up that he did that. And it would explain why they moved here, of course. Interesting. We're gonna just move on for now. I feel like this isn't a place to really stop. The blades of her words hit hard, and they made my eyes bleed. The blood was clear, and it tasted salty.
私も過去の事件からお前が怪しいと思ってる。それを隠しきれてると思わないで。
I remember how deeply I regretted it. I couldn't regret enough. I wanted to forget it, but I couldn't. I made a stupid mistake. Why? Why does she have to bring it up right now? I apologized and accepted everything, and I moved here to put it behind me. I wanted to have a fresh start in Hinamizawa. I swore to myself to live a clean life from then on. Everything is ruined now. I'll be a criminal, no matter where I go. I was stressed out with my exam studies. I was frustrated. I randomly shot people. I didn't care if it was girls or kids. Ugh. Why did I do something so stupid? There was no reason. I had no reason to do that. I just wanted to get someone's attention. I didn't have the courage to tell my parents that I didn't want to study. I just wanted somebody to scold me, so I used a childish way to get attention. I regret what I did. I swear I'll never do something that stupid again. If I do it again, they can send me to the chair. If there was something I could do to be completely forgiven, I'd do it, no matter what it was. But no matter how deeply I regret it, and no matter how long I atoned for my sin, I'll never be forgiven. That's why I wanted to sweep the whole thing under the carpet and have a fresh start. I have nothing to say if somebody tells me that forgetting my sin is an act of cowardice. Sins are sins. You can't just get rid of them. You have to carry them for the rest of your life. I know that's the fate of a sinner. If you don't want to live like that, don't be a sinner. I understand that logic too. But then, how are sinners supposed to live?
とにかくお前は仲間じゃない。仲間じゃないやつの指図は受ける言われはない。私のことは当分放っておいてもらう。いいね。
I didn't notice until she spoke that I was on my knees, hanging my head. Rena picked up the hatchet she dropped earlier. I wanted her to hit my head with it. Wow. He doesn't care anymore. Yeah, that's right. If anything's gonna be torn apart, I'd rather it be my body. Compared to the pain of my heart being torn to shreds, I'd rather she cut my head off. We've been here before, huh? I believed it. I still believe it. I still believe it right at this moment. I believe that I'm their friend. But in fact, I'm starting to become aware of it. I want to believe that I'm their friend because I don't want to accept my past. I'm trying to tell myself that, but I feel stupid crying like this. My face is all messy with tears. I was never their friend. I'm a sinner, and I hid my past from them. I hid it because I was scared. I told her that friends don't hide anything from another, and I hid my past from them. I hid my sin from them. My past has nothing to do with how I live my life here. If I ever attacked a kid in this village just because I was frustrated, I wouldn't mind if they killed me and cut me into pieces. But I'll never do anything like that again. I just want to live normally. What I did before I moved here has nothing to do with my life now. For instance, Rena moved here too. I wouldn't change the way I see her, even if I find out she did something bad before she moved here. Right? I wouldn't, would I? Bro. Even if Rena beat some of her friends or broke all the windows of her school, I wouldn't care because it happened in Ibaraki. She didn't do that in Hinamizawa. Rena is Rena. She's my best friend. That's why I wouldn't see her differently, even if I found out about her past. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. I'd keep a distance from her if I found out that she really did such things. I'd be scared of her. I wouldn't try to listen to her. Why? It's just a rumor. Why would I be scared of her? She's my best friend. We've been here before. We're really getting the Chapter 1 mirror now. If I was in her situation, would I reject her just like she did? Yes, you would. So, Rena's rejection of me was completely natural. Then what am I supposed to do? I was the only one crying. Rena wasn't crying. She looked at me as if she was looking at something dirty. After giving me a nasty look, she disappeared into the darkness. Rena didn't forgive me. There was nothing I could do to atone for my sin but to keep crying, still down on my knees. Damn. Damn. That is not how I expected this to go. Let's just go ahead and read this tip. We're going to have a lot to talk about, I'd say. Let's go ahead and read the reason we moved to Hinamizawa. I don't remember how many years ago it was. There was this beautiful village surrounded by nature, but the village was going to be submerged in water because of a new dam project, and the villagers protested against it en masse. They held a sightseeing tour so people from other places could enjoy the local beauty. I joined the tour out of simple curiosity. I wanted to take a look at the nature that might sink under the water. But when I got there, the place took my breath away. The air was so clean and clear, and the landscape was beautiful beyond words. Since then, I was hooked on the inspiring nature of the place. I fell in love with the village so much that I was very glad when I heard that the dam project was cancelled. That village is where I'm building our new house. When I visited there, I found a beautiful field of wildflowers. I was going to say, I don't think this is Keiichi. I saw two cute girls playing in that field. Both of them were very beautiful with long, straight hair. They were probably neighbors or best friends. I still remember how they looked. One of them had a very beautiful face with a clear-cut profile for her age. The other had a very pretty, innocent look. I'm sure both of them will grow up into fine, beautiful ladies in the future. They were running around in the field like they were dancing. I asked them if the field was their playground. They said that they were playing in hopes that newcomers would move to the village. Then I saw a sign saying, "Lot for sale." That was when I began to think that it might be a great place to live. There was nothing here, and things were a bit inconvenient compared to life in the city. But I sincerely believe this was the best place for us to start a new life together as a family. A lot of things happened back in the city, but the past is the past. It's best that we move on. We learn from our mistakes, and I hope we can start a new, more ideal life in this village. Keiichi, I hope you'll grow to love it here as much as I do. You do? I'm happy to hear that. I'm also happy that we've been doing a lot better as a family since we moved here. Back in the city, we were far from close. So I'm truly happy that we were able to start from scratch. Now that I come to think about it, I've never had a chance to have a conversation with you like this before. Oh, Keiichi, do you know any two beautiful girls with long straight hair in your school? I think they're a lot younger than you. Oh, you know two young beautiful girls, but one has short hair, huh? I don't think they're the ones I saw. You want to know why I asked? Oh, I just wanted to ask them to be models for my portraits. I was thinking about making them wear cute costumes. But basically, I just wanted to see them again, for artistic reasons. So if you happen to see them, let your dad know, okay? Promise me, okay? Yeah, bro got rocked. Deserved. Okay. So let's talk about what we just witnessed in this sub-chapter. Because it was a lot. Like, a lot. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to save the game first while I try to collect my thoughts a little bit. Because like I said, that was just so much. It would be easy to start to skip over some of what happened. So this subchapter began right around when, basically, I think began with, Rena in the junkyard. It might have began with the conversation with Mion. I don't really remember where the split was. Exactly. I guess I can just load and find it. Okay, yeah, it starts in the junkyard. So we're in the junkyard from Rena's perspective, and she's just hiding out, right? Still, her delusions are obviously there. She fully believes she's being hunted by like the Sonozaki family. And suddenly some gangsters show up. And these gangsters are like, they based on their conversations, it is clear they are actually searching for Rena. And the interesting thing is they talk about the scrapbook being part of why they're looking for her. Why that is the case, I don't know. At first I was like, maybe that's a coincidence, maybe she's just hearing convenient things, but I don't know that that's true. It could be. I don't know. I think there's a decent chance that is part of why they're looking for her, right? Or at least the orders from the higher ups and the Sonozakis, right? Which is interesting. Maybe it's just a situation of like they need to like snap her out of this kind of mania, like delusional like land that she's in, but I don't know. It makes you wonder if there is something up with them. I don't know. That is very interesting. We're gonna have to see if there is something to that, if that's actually what's happening. I don't know, but that's very interesting. Next up, though, is where the next two scenes are where things get really interesting. First up is the conversation with Rika, who I kind of talked about this a bit earlier, so I might kind of TLDR it. Basically, Rena is at the point where she believes that there's like the parasites are replacing people with like copies of them, right? And so when Rika shows up, she's like, "You're not Rika, you're one of them, right? You're not Rika." And Rika's like, "Huh, yeah, you're right. I'm not Rika." Right? Which is like, okay. She just said that. I don't even think that was like monster intuition or anything. I really just think Rena was just that paranoid. But then again, she didn't do the same thing to Keiichi, so I don't know actually. I honest to God did not think Keiichi was gonna live this night. I'm not gonna lie. I was the whole time I was like, he's gonna die. He's gonna die. He's gonna die. He didn't. I really did think he was going to. So they got me there. I guess. Anyways, Rika's there, and they kind of have this conversation, and a lot of things are revealed. And like I said earlier, I talked about this a bit earlier, but basically it's revealed that Rika is not like who she seems to be on the surface, which is something we know. She says she's been living as Rika for 100 years, which is kind of insane, right? I think we can all agree on that. It's big, right? And she kind of hints that she's been living within different Hinamizawas and with different Renas and everything of the sort. Which is more or less what we expected. Some of the other interesting tidbits that she drops, though, are A, that she has the cure, right, and that syringe, which is exactly what I expected. Also, notably, though, she kind of seems to confirm that Tomitake was injected by a syringe, but it was a different one, which is interesting. That was not really something I think I could have possibly guessed, if that is true. If he was injected with basically like Hinamizawa syndrome, whatever it is, right? It's just a different syringe. Like it's got to be, right? There's no other way. And like, so that makes sense to me. I still think the instances that we saw the syringe in chapter 1 and 2, I think it was the cure syringe, but it is very possible they intentionally did something to Tomitake, which, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. Whoever they is, to be clear, right? But that, I mean, that's most of what we get out of the Rika scene, but that's a lot of interesting information that we need to keep in mind going into the future. And I mean, that's one of the big things we're looking for with this chapter is answers, right? And we got some big picture kind of answers there. A lot of stuff that I was already really confident in, so I hope we get a little more. The only really brand new reveal there that I wasn't already pretty sure of was the different syringe, and I'm like, okay, I knew what happened to Tomatake was not the same as that syringe, right? But it being a different syringe, I'm like, okay, there's just two drugs, I guess, right? But ultimately, it doesn't matter if the way he got like the craziness was a syringe or whether it was a slightly, or I don't want to say more natural, whether it was just like a little less, like it just wasn't a syringe, I guess, right? If it had just been like some other method that he got it, right? I don't think it would really change too much. Maybe it's I mean, like if there is a syringe and it is, or just something that can intentionally be done, right? That obviously is a big deal. Though I will say that, right? If it's something that somebody in the cast can just make people go crazy like that on command, right? I mean, we have my pick for who I think it is. I don't think I need to say it at this point, right? But and that could be big information. But a lot of it is information we kind of already have. But the next scene is where things get kind of interesting to me. And this is a scene I obviously haven't really talked about yet. I was really just letting this one play out as it went. So basically, Keiichi shows up and is trying to snap Rena out of her delusions, right? It's not going well at first, and then he does the whole spiel about like, we're friends, right? Like, you gotta trust me, right? And like they're going back and forth about whether or not he's crazy or she is crazy or not. And finally, Rena basically says, you were never my friend. You said friends don't keep secrets from each other, but you've been keeping a secret from all of us. And we learn what it is. We learn Keiichi's past about like shooting like school-aged children, apparently school-aged girls, with BB guns, right? As they were walking home for fun, which is really messed up. I'm not gonna lie, but Jesus Christ, the way they started that, dude, I thought he was Diddy, bro. I was like, you're lying. Like, this is our protagonist? Like, and I'm like, what? Right? But no. Okay, it wasn't that. It was not that bad. Again, still not good, but in the grand scheme of bad things you could do, ranging from nothing to like what I suggested, he's more like here, right? He's not out here. And he's not out here. He's not innocent. He's more like here, right? Like, very different. I was like, what? Right? That is pretty bad. And that is a messed up thing to do, obviously. Like, who takes enjoyment out of that? Just shooting random people with a BB gun, right? Like, that's messed up. But, like, I don't know. I'd honestly argue that's not even... I don't know. I'd say I'd argue that it's not as bad as what Rena did, actually, but like that doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, he still assaulted people, right? Like pretty bad, right? So ultimately, it doesn't matter. But he kept this secret from the group, and that, first of all, it clearly haunted Keiichi, and he wanted to move past it and forget it and like bury it. But that wasn't how it was going to go, and so when Rena finds this out, she uses it to just say they were never friends in the first place, and that therefore she doesn't have to listen to him because he's the crazy one and she's not, right? And she's going to save the world. And I think the big deal here is, well, I think it's an interesting tidbit about Keiichi's character. I don't think it's that important in the grand scheme of things, just like how it's ultimately probably not that important in the grand scheme of things that Rhea? I played a little too much Fire Emblem Heroes recently, goodness. Rena. Just like Rena, the fact that she hit those windows and hit people with a bat, like, it's important and it's good context about her character, but that's not what the scenes where this reveal is made are really about, right? Because what happens is, while Keiichi is like having his internal spiel about like wanting to be forgiven and everything, and like thinking it's unreasonable that Rena's taking things this seriously, right? And that they were never friends because of it. He realizes that if Rena did exactly what she did, which, yeah, that's not a coincidence that he remembered exactly what she did, by the way, right? I think that goes without saying. That's you just perfectly remembered it. Okay, bro, right? He doesn't realize it. He thought he made up a scenario. He didn't. But he realized that in the scenario that it was revealed that Rena was hiding something like that from him the whole time, right? He might distance himself from her, and in fact, he said he would. And in fact, we know he would, right? Especially if he was in the same state of mind that Rena is in right now. So he just kind of accepts it. And we get that interesting parallel to chapter 1, right? Like I've been saying, I've been expecting parallels. I don't know that I expected this. In retrospect, I think it kind of makes sense. I could have maybe expected this, but I didn't. That same parallel with them hiding something in the past and not being able to trust them because you've been hiding things from me, right? You've been hiding who you are, who you were. Why should I trust you when you are trying to help me in my moment of crisis, right? Like, especially because in their eyes, like, in Rena's eyes, like, she's the only sane one, right? And Keiichi was the only one she could trust, but then it turns out Keiichi was lying by omission, right? The whole time, right? So I get it, and it's, like I said, really interesting to see that parallel, and so I wonder where we're going to go from here at this point, right? At this point, roughly, is when Keiichi starts going really cuckoo, and like in chapter 1, he's going really cuckoo, running around, like legitimately, it seemed like he was being chased by people, and he gets captured, and the director is intending to show up, and he kills Rena and Mion. When they try to inject him with the drug, are we going to get something like that? Or like, are they going to capture Rena at some point and to try to save her? Is Rika going to get involved? Is she just content with letting the Hinamizawa doom itself? It seems like it, right? But there's a lot of ways this could go, and I don't know the direction we're going to go, but I'm really interested to see it. Something is telling me there's a real chance the next episode is the finale. I don't know that for sure. Maybe we've got 2 episodes left, but we've got to be getting there. We've got to be getting there. So I'm looking forward to playing that. Unfortunately, I have work tomorrow, so we'll see if I get to play tomorrow. I hope so. I will try to find the time. But I'm definitely looking forward to more. This was another fantastic episode. We learned so much. We learned about Keiichi's character. We learned some things about the overarching plot. We saw this kind of resolution to a degree of the junkyard scene, right? We saw how that scene went in the moment, but we were kind of seeing all of the sentiments from that scene have crumbled apart, and there is no trust anymore, which is crazy, right? I will obviously say that it's like what Keiichi did is messed up, but I still gotta say it's not as bad as literally murdering 2 people. And Rena was totally content with hiding that from everyone if she hadn't gotten caught. I don't know. I think a lot of it is Rena's state of mind right now. But like, the point is, we see that dramatic continuation of that and see it all crumble apart already. Like those bonds that they had. Like I said, we got the backstory reveal for Keiichi. We got the big lore reveals kind of with Rika. Even if most of them are things I kind of already knew, it's still good to see them basically confirmed. We got that interesting little tidbit about where we could be going with the Sonozaki gangsters, kind of indicating that maybe it is real. Maybe they are looking for the scrapbooks, right? Maybe something in there does have some truth to it. Lots of interesting stuff. Like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. I hope you guys are as well. I don't know exactly when the next episode of Chapter 6 will be out. I'm hoping the day after this video comes out. That means I get to play after work on Tuesday. But who knows? Maybe I'll come home and like nap or something stupid. I don't know. We'll figure out when we get there. I'd say it'll probably be 2 days max, but we'll see. Whenever that video does come out, though, I hope to see all of you guys there. But until then, peace.